Anyway, hello there. Greetings and welcome and all that jazz. Carionto here once more with another visual novel called Over the Hills and Far Away. Before we get to that, as always, some vocal exercises through the reading of a little thing that I wrote some time ago. From the next day. Let's go with this one's called. This one doesn't have a name. These things don't have names. Let's just take that list off. Similar to the previous one, which is just nonsense. This one's also. Apparently, I tried to do some weird, fancy things with words, or whatever. Anyway, let's just get the short story 57 out of the way from July 2nd, 2018. Destiny called. Fools answered. Slay the tyrant. Wake the light. Free the people. Save the world. False glory awaited. Hidden fortune unearthed. Rotten fame attained. Heroes died. Legends written. Imposters galore. Cycle keeps turning. Power, wealth, struggle, vacuum, repeat. So try to go for some kind of thing where just said 2 words, then do the thing, then 3 words, then 2 words again, and then this thing. I don't know. I was trying to be an artsy-fartsy bastard, apparently, that doing this time, but it's fine. As always, interpret it as you will. That's just how writing works, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, yes. Over the Hills and Far Away. It's a visual novel from 2015, something like that. Set during the War of 1812, a very rarely explored piece of history, at least as far as I'm aware. I haven't encountered many. I think this might be the first one that's actually set during this time period and in this location. If my memory is accurate, which it usually isn't, with history things, then I believe this is the one where the British came and just torched the White House. Just oi, gave America a slap on the wrist or something like that. Piss off. Whatever they were doing. To put it very simply and comically. Well, yes, I mean, it's a war. People died, lots of horrible things. There's sad music happening here. Sort of sad, very moody drama. I believe this is a romance story as well. I'm not sure, I don't remember. I added this a year ago to my list. So let's just begin. Let's figure this out. Let's see what this is. Let's see what you are. So, War of 1812. Could you... Hello, there we go. Give me the correct thing. OBS. Let's put myself away and do the thing. New game. Will be the only thing. Da-dum. The drums tell us it begins. The marching band. Oh yeah, right, over the hill. Okay. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, so that when their time comes, they weep and pray for a little more time to live. I couldn't read that too quickly. I got distracted. The Northwest Frontier. October 12th, 1830. Oh, it's after... Well, I don't actually remember how long the war lasted. The sky is dark and the sleet is cold. Oh yes, before I continue, there's one thing I forgot to mention. Over the Hills and Far Away is also a great song by Gary Moore, a good song by Led Zeppelin, and apparently it's also just an old British, a marching song type thing, folk song, something like that. So I'm guessing the title of this is based on that one, instead of the modern ones. But anyway, give it a listen. All 3 are pretty fine song. Obviously, Gary Moore's one is the best one. But anyway, I'm biased, because I like that kind of heavy rock stuff. Anyway, the sky is dark and sleet is cold. These empty lands are wild and windswept. My journey will be a harsh one, and there's no guarantee I'll come out of it the same. An eagle circles high above before flying south, caught on the updrafts of the wind. As the rain falls all around, I trudge through the mud and frost, searching for shelter. Alone in the wilderness, I pass through the long grass of a battlefield. Redcoats and bluecoats lie in the dirt, their corpses sinking into the mud beneath. Their rifles stand, upended, pointing toward the sky. A cheap substitute for a headstone, A waste of guns if you ask me. Counting the bodies, I guess it must have been an ambush or a small engagement. Perhaps prisoners of war on their way to an American encampment. Maybe they were fellow deserters on their way south. I continued to walk past the brambles and puddles, deeper into the battlefield. Moss and weeds stick to my boots, and the sodden earth sucks my feet down under the surface. Passing corpse after corpse, I casually glance over the bodies for rations or supplies. But luck isn't on my side. These soldiers were already stripped of their goods before they being left to rot in the sleet. Slowly, I come to a halt on a small hillock at the edge of the field. The rain continues to pelt down from above. Should I keep going from here? Wherever here is. The further I push south, the less chance I have of returning. I look back, across the valley. Our last orders to retreat didn't leave us with many clues. Burlington. Something about Burlington. The men retreating were headed for the British encampment there. I stand for a few moments, staring into the distance. I'm William Aubrey of the 41st Regiment of Foot. Following the last engagement to the north of the Thames River, I fled southwest and crossed the Detroit River. Now, deep into enemy territory, I'm headed south through Michigan territory. Yeah, I can't do a British accent, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to try, because it would be horrible. Where I go from here, I can't say. If the British were to find me as I am now, I'd certainly be shot for treason. Living in the woods, a coward and a traitor to the crown. I've kept my head down so far, and journeyed down from shelter to shelter. Scavenging like a common mongrel, I've had no choice but to rob and trespass. I should keep moving. There's no way for me to turn back now. If I'm to desert, I should keep running for as long as I can. Perhaps I can find an American regiment looking for new recruits. No, I'm done with fighting. That's no life I can return to. I have no business being a soldier any longer. I have no love for the old king or for the new republic. I only wish to find my own place to call home, to be a free man and find my fortune. After all, what is there to win here? Glory? Freedom? Land? There are no spoils of war for cannon fodder. Either left to rot as a prisoner of war, to hang, or made to fight under the men like Proctor again. I'll take my chances as a free man any day. I begin walking again, my boots slowly becoming caked in mud and slime. As I head through the valleys, I eventually sight a small barn in the middle of a field. Seemingly abandoned, I begin trudging towards it at a hurried pace. After living in the wilderness for nearly a week, I could use some shelter. Absent-mindedly, I rest a hand on my shoulder as I walk, and feel the wound there. Shot in the woods during the last engagement, I was hit by musket fire. I barely noticed it after the first few days, but it's beginning to bleed more after sleeping in the mud. Soon enough, I come to a stop outside the old barn. The dirty shack is barely standing, but I can smell the dry hay inside. It'll do for now. Looking at the timber door, I reach toward the handle but stop short of gripping it. There's a small rope hooked around a metal rung, tying the door to the barn wall. A knife. Reaching into my boot, I grip at the concealed blade and pull it out. I turn the dirty weapon over in my hand, examining the broken handle. Then, I slowly saw at the rope until the thin string breaks in two. Replacing the knife in my boot, a thought strikes me. I'm probably on someone's land here. Anybody could be inside this barn. An American soldier with a rifle, a native rebel with a tomahawk, or a farmer, angry at me for trespassing on his land. I let the strap of my musket fall down over my shoulder and take the weapon in my hands. It's best to be prepared for these things after all. I move forward and begin to pull at the barn door, prying it open. Leaning up against the wooden frame, I grip at the handle and pull. Slowly the timber board begins to shift. As the barn door swings open, I quickly stumble inside into the musty shelter. My eyes take a few seconds to adjust to the darkness. Oh, hello there. Native American refugee, essentially. And once they do, I'm confronted with a strange sight. Instinctively, I raise the barrel of my musket and take a defensive stance. It seems to be a short young girl, a native child. She can't be much of a threat, but looks can be very deceiving. As I continue to hold my weapon towards her, I take a closer look. She wears a blue headband decorated with native art. The shawl over her shoulders is a matching tone, while her dress is comprised of more earthly colors. Dark black hair is braided on each side into pigtails and tied at its ends with large button-like discs. The eyes are caramel color, give away little as to what she's thinking. She appears to be around 11 or 12 years old, although it can be hard to tell with them. Her posture is loose, relaxed. She doesn't seem scared at all. Even though I'm currently pointing a musket at her, the little girl does nothing. Not crying, not running, not smiling. She simply stares at me like a fool. The bushy eyebrows and button nose round off the picture, giving her a rather tomboyish look. I take a step forward, with the tip of my musket's bayonet hovering near to her chest. Watching for her reaction, I cautiously make a shooing gesture. Shoo! Scram! But she doesn't move. So I take another step, this time bringing the weapon even closer towards her. Again, she doesn't move. I wait a few seconds to see if anything has occurred to her, whether she's even aware that I'm a threat. But the girl only stares at me, as though I were nothing more than a stray animal. Her expression carries no malice, only an unblinking curiosity. This situation is hopeless. Giving up on trying to intimidate her, I stand to full attention and let the musket hang over my shoulder by its strap. I take a look around the barn. Straw lies trampled into an earth floor, with enough left over to make for comfortable bedding. The ground looks somewhat firm, but puddles have formed in places. Thick beams above support a thin roof of wooden paneling, barely keeping the thunderstorm out. Water drops leak from holes in the slats, confirming that the place hasn't been maintained in some time. A door on the opposite wall has been ripped off its hinges, giving a full view of the wind and rain outside. What a dump! Old dusty crates and boxes are piled up against one side of the shelter, along with several curious items. Vases of various designs, rolled up carpets, old parchment, a broken sundial, glass bottles. The former owner probably dumped their most worthless possessions and made for a safer area. Turning back to the small Yinjin girl, I ponder aloud. A young native girl, on her own in wild territory, in a barn during a storm. Maybe she's an idiot child. You hear stories of white parents abandoning their kids in the wilderness, not wanting the burden of raising a less than bright child. I don't think natives did too. She'd have to be an idiot not to be scared of a soldier with a gun. Her curious glance holds. I come even closer, this time standing right next to her. Looking her up and down, I mutter to myself. A Shawnee girl. Shawnee. Ah! I fall backwards onto my arse, landing with a squelchy plop in the mud. Her response took me by complete surprise. I didn't expect her to speak back. Slowly getting up off the ground, I brush the straw and dirt off of my backside. You're Shawnee? Nothing. Did you hear me? Again? Nothing. Then Lenawahnilla. I am Shawnee. Lenawahnilla. That means I'm Shawnee, I think. I only know so much of the language from my regiment's time with them. Forget the Indian speak. You know English? No response. Right. I rest one hand on the butt of my musket, but she doesn't break eye contact. What are you doing out here? She gives me a curious glance before pointing through the opening to the storm outside. Papanawe. What? It's dangerous outside, essentially. Context clues, man. She continues to point as the rain falls outside, because why would you be outside? It begins to dawn on me what she means, without hearing her say it. I'm waiting for the storm to end. Well, yeah, obviously. So are you, that's the point. Like the weather doesn't care who you are, it's shit. Many years ago, this continent was racked by a bloody and destructive war. I was only a boy at the time. My father had brought me to America from England to find his fortune. He didn't know of the rebellion that was brewing, impending revolts and battles. While he worked at his trade, the mobs grew ugly and the war began. Redcoats and Bluecoats fought to control these lands. Father continued to struggle on, for my sake. One day he disappeared, either pressed into some militia or murdered for his royalist tendencies. I was taken in by our neighbors. An American family, too Christian to allow a child to suffer on the streets of Boston. I grew into a young man, surrounded by blood, rhetoric, and ruin. As the war raged on, I lost interest in the straight and narrow path. I sought to expand my riches by less legitimate means, and set out on my own. For a while I partnered with a Yankee, a criminal much like I was in those days, a lout named Warren Jackson. Like a serpent, he could seduce me into a life of wickedness. While people fought for their independence, we took a much less noble approach in our pursuit of happiness. We started small, robbing the homes and townhouses of deceased militia and politicians. The revolution brought a lot of hurt and chaos to these lands. Many men lost their titles and possessions then, as towns were raided and sieged. No effective government, a rival militia, and the British expelled. It was a new kind of paradise for criminals. My partner and I grew fat on our robbed riches, throwing it away on drink and women. Some years after the war ended, the crackdown on independent spirits like us began. A man was promised land and freedom if he fought for independence, but the new republic wasn't much different from the old. We took up arms at times, rioting against new taxes on our whiskey. They wanted to repress our sin and fine us for our well-earned spoils. This wasn't a new anarchic world. It still belonged to the landowners of before. So my partner set up a northern trading post and wrote me, asking I join him. For months, we lived no better than wild men, hunting and tracking, and offering our services. A family, out in the wilderness, needed guides to protect them from natives and wolves. You find many frontier folk like that, desperate to be free men, to find a plot of land to call their own. Gullible and weak, most of them, but they paid well enough. Some would reach their destinations, to colonize, to spread the word of our good business. Most weren't so lucky. My partner would lead them off the trail into some desolate patch of wilderness. Then we beat them, rob them blind, and leave them to the wolves. It was a bad time for most, in those early days after the revolution. We didn't care much for morality then. Time passed, we slowly filled out our coin purses, but the booze lost its taste, and the women... Well, I lost my appetite for stealing from folk who had nothing. I wanted out. My partner... he was less than happy about the idea. We fought and fought for days, many times drawing our pistols and blades. Eventually, we reached an agreement and called it quits. As we went our separate ways, my partner turned to me and called out, "I'll be seeing you soon." After that, he disappeared into the brush. I never heard from him again. We split the loot and I made for port in England, turning my back on the New World forever. I was finished with this continent. It was time for me to find a small patch and a peaceful life. At least, I hoped it would be that simple. It never is. Especially the Napoleonic era. This is pre-Napoleonic, just slightly. I sit on one side of the barn, leaning up against a wooden post. After limping across the open countryside for miles, I need to catch my breath. I don't have the energy to deal with that. The young girl stays where she is, staring at me. Why couldn't this place be abandoned? All I wanted was some rest from the rain. Those caramel irises lock onto me, barely shifting as she takes in the sight. What? She doesn't respond. What is it? No reply. Maybe I spooked her a little before. Anyway, it's best to ignore her for now. The shelter will do for the night, regardless of the girl. Tomorrow is less certain. Where do I go from here? I need to come up with a plan of some kind. Perhaps I can find a way south, over the hills and towards a settlement. Although I'll want to avoid any of the main roads and forts, dressed as I am. What else? What else? Of course, there will be provisions. I need to gather supplies depending on how long my journey is going to be. If I want to get away from this war, I'll have to aim for a southern state. Traveling such a distance won't be cheap. In which case, I'll need to find some work in order to afford a coin. Either that or raid the supplies from a general store and run. Maybe even trade with one of the tribes if I can make it into the Indian lands. Perhaps a kind chief will take pity on me and give me free shelter. Well, I did just find myself a potential bargaining chip. Looking across at the child, it seems she's playing with some kind of leather pouch. Hey, wait a minute. I check my hip and find my carriage box is missing. You little sod, that's mine! Just when did she steal that? Ignoring my perturbed tones, the girl pulls out a paper cartridge and fiddles with it. Hey, leave that be! As I struggle to my feet, she rips open the packet. A cloud of gunpowder is thrown up into the native's face. It starts a coughing fit as she's taken by surprise. She drops the cartridge box, which lands on the ground with a clatter. Eventually the air clears and the girl is covered in a sooty mess. Damn it, that's why I told you to leave it alone. I snatch the ruined cartridge and pick up the ammunition off the ground. The child groans, blinking rapidly to keep the powder out of her eyes. What's wrong with her? Doesn't she know what gunpowder is? No, clearly not. The girl brushes her dress with her hands, trying to get the stuff off. A black dust slowly floats up as she wipes off the soot, and makes the young brat sneeze. You'll never get it off like that. Dad mode is activating in this guy. He's gonna be a dad. Okay. Okay. Yep. There it is. The first step towards adopted kid. On a path, a lowly path. Pretty common trope, isn't it? I guess. I mean, okay, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe that's not where this is going. But it feels like it. But it feels like that. Come on, we all know that. She stops and stares at me. Bending down, I point to a puddle on the floor nearby. Clean yourself with the rainwater. You'll get most of the powder off. Keeping wet might stop her from catching fire too. Oh yeah, right, it's gunpowder, right. That's kind of significant. That is in the event she comes in contact with any sparks. After a few cautious glances, she dips her hands into the puddle. The girl slowly washes her face with the muddy water. Eventually the black suit disappears and is replaced by a somewhat clean complexion. Now stand there quietly and don't touch my things. I berate her, but as far as I can tell she doesn't understand a word I'm saying. Gripping my cartridge box, I slump back down on a patch of hay. I examine the paper and find the musket ball still hidden inside. But without the gunpowder, the cartridge is essentially useless now. Still, you never know when some extra wadding might come in handy. I place both items inside my box, which I attach to my belt. Turning forward, I find the girl staring at me again. Those caramel eyes hang on my every movement. Thinking about it, I should probably watch myself around this brat. I didn't even notice her stealing my ammunition. Who knows what else she might try and pull. If I'm not careful, she might go for my bayonet or something. Keeping one eye on the child, I try to make myself comfortable. As I sit up, I feel a tinge of pain again. The wound's already acting up. Carefully lowering the collar of my jacket, I check the bullet hole in my arm, and she winces at that sight. The wound isn't infected yet, but unless I can get to a general store or tavern soon, well, let's say hidden in the rain, and sleeping in the mud won't do me any favors. Reaching into my jacket pocket, I pull out my canteen. Find a lot of rum rations. I definitely need to get to a tavern. I pull off the top and take a swig. Then I pour some alcohol into my open palm and hold it up to my upper arm. Slowly the rum trickles down and seeps into the wound. That's fucking painful. Fuck. The booze stings as I clean out the bullet hole, the blood mixing with it and running off. Making gentle rubbing gestures, I can't tell if I'm making things better or worse. It's complicated. But the alcohol helps in any case. As I heave a sigh, I take another drink from the canteen. I find the girl is still watching. With a mouthful of grog, I mutter, "What? Never seen an Englishman bleeding out before?" She doesn't say anything. "Don't want to speak English, huh?" Nothing. Well, that's fine by me. I don't fancy talking with a native brat over deer or face paint. If I'm going to die here, I might as well do it in peace with some rum on to hand. Hineki, your arm. Huh? Yeah, she's gonna heal it. There we go. The girl disappears behind a pile of junk on the other side of the barn and begins to rummage through the muck. Hey, what are you doing back there? Folk medicines. That's what's gonna happen here. I call out to her but receive no response. Why am I even trying? I take another drink. I have enough rum to last me for another day or so. Better make it count. Soon the girl re-emerges, clutching an old piece of cloth in her hand. She comes closer and kneels in front of me. Her dress hip dips down into a puddle at my feet, soaking the earthy fabric a darker shade of brown. Then opening up her sachet, she pulls out a small pot with some kind of cream inside. The girl begins dabbing the rag with the ointment, creating blotches on it. It must be a herbal remedy of some kind. Arnica, or maybe ginseng? Probably something else. A strong smell begins to waft from the cream. She gestures towards my wound and it dawns on me just what it is she's doing. Is this girl really so foolish to try and help me? Feeling the stinging pain in my arm returning, I'm not in any real position to protest. That better not be poisonous, I mutter. The girl finishes applying the cream to the rag. As she leans forward with the damp cloth, I grab at her forearm and pull her towards me. Just what are you playing at? Taking her arm in my hands, I turn it over, examining the skin. At first, she begins to pull away. Hold still! But with a brief command, she doesn't protest as I check her body. Looking at her palms, shoulders and legs, I search for any markings. Her hands are coarse, probably worn from climbing trees and skinning hairs. The many different bangles jingle and clink as I check up on down. No brandings. So she's not an escaped slave. That's one theory out the window. Just why is she here? What else have you got hidden in that satchel? She tries to back away, but I tighten my grip. Mata. I tell you to drop the engine speak. The girl goes quiet again. Gradually I let go, and she continues her work. As she starts binding the dirty cloth around my shoulder, I grimace as the fabric presses into my open wound. Pushing down on it, I feel the cool cream beginning to rub against the bullet hole. Tying it tight around the gash, the girl backs off, and I slowly adjust my shirt and the red coat back over. As I sigh, the ointment seeps into the skin. The Indian girl packs up her things and stores them in her little satchel again. With her squatting in front of me, I notice the front of her dress is soaked in mud. As she stands up and begins to walk away, I mutter in response. Thanks. She gives me another one of her curious glances and replies. You're welcome. She does speak English. Of course she does. Did she just... You can speak English? Well, it is the 19th century. She gives me a tired look. Why the bloody hell didn't you say so before? I didn't have anything to say. The nerve of this child. I like her already. Good. Since when? White traders often come to our village, so nearly everyone there speaks it. This must be revenge for grabbing her and waving my gun in her face. It would seem English is more commonly spoken among the natives than I thought. I need to get to a tavern soon. I begin to shift my weight in order to get up. If I stay in this barn any longer, I may go mad. You shouldn't move. Your wound won't heal at this rate. You're not a surgeon. But as I try to stand, I find my legs buckle and I sink back down. A bit confused, I push again and try to get myself standing. Slowly, I rise up and gain my bearings. But after a few seconds of struggling, I fall back down into my sitting position. I can't do it. My legs can't take the weight. I've been traveling non-stop for days and sleeping on the hard ground, through the rain and frost. My entire body is weary from endless trudging across valley and plain. Leaning back against the wooden post, I take a few deep breaths. The young girl continues to watch me as I give up on my struggle. What is it? I mutter in exasperation. Maybe now you'll be able to heal. Cheeky little smile. She smiles at me like a fool. Damn it. It looks like I'm stuck here for the time being. I slowly shift about and try to become more comfortable. What's your name, girl? I guess I'll try to make peace with her for now. Oh god. Makitotosimev. Makitotosime. 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 Goddamn tongue twisters. Yeah, he's not gonna... like, I struggle with that. I speak multiple languages, and that was complicated. Matito kosiwe. Kosi me. Not wev. Wem. Mev. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to pronounce that at all. What? Makito tosime. I thought you said something like that. And what does that mean? Usually Indian names have some kind of meaning. Something to do with the land or animals or things like that. But the girl goes quiet on me. So it's Maki Totosime. This is going to be more annoying than I thought. How about Mai? Mai? And the text box agrees. It's gonna be Mai. Think of it as a nickname. It'll save some time in any case. Nickname? It's something that allies use. After all, if I'm British and she's Shawnee, then we're naturally allied. Allies. What's the word? Kokumtha. She gives me a disapproving look. Wait, was that wrong? It's a tough language to get right after all. I understand. Friends. Well, that's good. Why am I trying so hard with this child? I mean, you literally haven't had human contact in a few days. Several, or maybe longer. And every other has been hostile, I'm guessing. So, you know. I am Mai. Good. My village, once of the Kispoko tribe, and clan of the Petakiniti-Thiwumshu... Yeah. I can't do that one. Right. Yeah, I'm just not gonna... Who are you? What is your name? I'm Aubrey, an Englishman by birth. All you white men have strange names. I don't want to hear that from a girl with a name 10 syllables long. Anyway, what are you doing out here on your own? Don't you have someone else you can be pestering? I'm waiting for the storm to end. I guess that much. What I mean is... I stopped short. I was going to ask her why she was in here, but something else comes to mind. The door was tied shut. How'd you get in here? I asked in a rather quiet voice. Oh, too late. I crawled in through the gap in the wall. She gestures to the broken opening in the barn wall. Oh yeah, right. It's literally right there. It's a big gaping hole. Well, that's a disappointing explanation. Reality is often disappointing. Well, what are you doing alone in the middle of nowhere? There's nothing here for miles around, other than a field full of corpses. She pulls an uncomfortable expression. I'm trying to find my way home. Trying? You mean you're lost? Nothing. Well, I guess even the natives get lost sometimes. I mean, she's a child. Surprising as it is to hear of it, they're a hardy bunch. They keep to themselves, living in the forests and near to rivers. A mysterious lot. You often hear stories of scalpings and murder and rape. Many may hate them and fear them, but I've never felt it myself. And off to Sleepy Land for Aubrey. Meanwhile, several miles north, near to Detroit. Oh, we're getting multiple perspectives here. Alright. In a patch of woodland, several miles north, a group of bluecoats sit under their worn-out tops. A small party formed for raiding and scouting. Following the recent battles in Ontario, many British men are escaping south into the United States. The raiders' mission is to hunt down Radco deserters on the retreat. In their campsite sits a sodden fire pit, and their drenched overcoats hang over nearby branches. What's with this storm? Maybe it's all those Indians doing rain dances. You know, Usha Tekum says so they're all out dancing about it. Sod's law, more like. The raiding party try to shelter themselves from the torrential rain pouring down. Several soldiers are dressed in buckskins and they carry tomahawks and rifles. Their aim is to blend into their surroundings and catch their enemies off guard. Hey Captain, let's say we head for Detroit. It's not like any redcoats are gonna make it this far south. Now without drowning or getting shot. The leader of the group stares into the dead patch of ash and burnt-out embers. He seems to ignore their conversation. Captain, our orders are to continue marching west. If we see any redcoats, we take them as prisoners or shoot them. Yeah, I get that, but who's going to be traveling in this storm? Why not head north and rest up for a few days? Get some ale and some girls. Only a dozen squawks kicking about in Detroit. Hey, Captain. Their boss doesn't appear to have been swayed by the arguments. We will wait for any reports from our scouts and keep marching west. Slowly the captain turns to leave. You can have a drink and shag all the whores you want, once this war is finished. Until then, you do well to keep your mouth shut, Daniels. What a fucking hard ass, this captain. Oh well, I guess that's why he's the captain. With that, the captain turns away and heads through the camp to check on their other soldiers. Yes, sir. Bloody hell. What was that all about? Asshole. He's a captain. An officer. All officers are bastards, apparently. If hearing about those kind of anecdotes from podcast hosts who are also former military is any indication, which seems to be the case. I mean, it's a position of power, so of course. Anyway, the sleet begins to pelt hard outside as the storm takes a turn for the worst. I'm lucky to have found this shelter when I did. However, the introduction of a thieving Indian girl is less cause for celebration. So then, you're lost, Shawnee, and you're trying to find your way home. Where is it you live? Near to a lake. Right. And where is this lake? I don't know. You don't know? That's why I'm lost. I mean, yeah, obviously. Right. I'm beginning to see her problem. I rarely travel away from home. And you remember anything else? I press her some more. Fort names or settlements, river names, places you passed on your way here. I know some names of nearby places. The names white men give them. Okay, like what? The girl goes quiet and takes a step forward. Instinctively, I sit back as she draws near. Then, with a deep breath, she bursts into a big smile. Howdy, friend. Okay. Changing her posture, the girl puts on an overly friendly pantomime act. My name is Makita Tosime, but you can call me Mai. I'm just a little pilgrim traveling south, you hear? What the hell are you doing? Talking like a white person. That's not what white people sound like. It kinda is, though. Why'd you go silent all of a sudden? No reason. The nerve of this girl. Yeah, she's great. Anyway, why are you pretending to be an American? White person. That's an American accent. Stop going quiet on me. I'm trying to remember the names of nearby towns. My father taught me how to say them when asking for directions. So you pretend to be a pilgrim and put on an accent? I guess there are different ways of doing things. Fine, finish your acting. Maybe then we can work out just where she's going. Why do you care, though? He cares because he's becoming a dad. He's gonna adopt her. That's what's gonna happen here. At least for the journey. Maybe, we'll see. Wait a minute. Why do you even care where she's going from? Yeah, exactly. Why do you care? Anyways, friend, I was hoping that you could direct me towards my homestead. She leaps back into her performance. Can you tell me the way to Fort Wayne? Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne? Yes, indeed, friend. I guess she remembered it. Do you mean Fort Wayne? That's what I said. Even as I try to argue back, I find myself at a loss for words. I bring my hands to my face and gradually cover my eyes in defeat. There's no winning with this native girl. Now she's a kid. So, you live near to Fort Wayne? And yet I ask her another question. I don't know. I don't think it's too far away. Maya takes a step back, no longer putting on the friendly Yankee act. Is there anything else you can remember? My father taught me quite a few ways to ask for directions. I wasn't asking about that. Then again, if the last performance helped her to remember something, maybe I should indulge her a little longer. I mean, what else do you have to do? What else can you do, Mr. Aubrey? You're wounded, you literally can't get up because your feet are too weak. So, you're kinda stuck here with her. What else did he teach you? Well, that was the Shimanesa routine. I see. There's also the Squitheta routine, young girl routine. Oh dear, I don't want to hear that. The girl bends over, dips her hands into a puddle, and scoops up some water. Or that kind of routine. Splashing it on her face, she makes it look like she's crying. Okay, that might be the effective one. Please, mister. With a sobbing and emotional voice, she begins to beg as water drops roll down her cheeks. I'm lost and trying to find my way home. My master will beat me if I'm not back in time. Whimpering, Maya wrings her hands and shakes like a lamb's hind legs. Please tell me the way to Fort Wayne. She sniffles, trying to stem her tears. My heart goes out to the poor thing, but you know she's faking it though. Until I remember this is all a play. Yeah. The native bat wipes her eyes and quickly drops the act. See? It's effective. That would work. You're a little sneak, aren't you? You kinda have to be though. Just a little. Little cheeky brat. You shouldn't take that as a compliment. I'm already tired of this damn barn and this brat. Why am I still hanging around here? Because you can't move. I should back up and head south before I waste any more time on this conversation. Even as I think that, I find it difficult to move. So we've worked out that you live on a lake near to Fort Wayne. It's something to go on anyway. Reaching in my redcoat, I pull out a scrap of folded parchment. Unraveling it, a dusty map of Michigan territory is revealed. I managed to win it in a game of Shove Me a Penny back at Fort Meldon. The soldier and I were both pretty drunk and low on coins at the time. We spent the evening betting bits of paper, boot polish and biscuits. I didn't think it would ever come in handy. Running my fingers over the map, I come to Fort Wayne at the bottom. Well, there are lots of lakes and rivers in that area. There's bound to be a Shawnee village out there somewhere. Can you point out to me? Your village, that is. Her expression grows dark as she stares at the parchment. You know how to read the map, don't you? Probably not. A little. Well, look here. I point to an area on the paper, just below Detroit. We're somewhere in this area, right? And then over here, moving across with my finger, I point to a section labeled Many Small Lakes. There are lots of lakes and streams, just north of Fort Wayne. My watch is closer as I describe very basic cartography to her. If you follow the river like this, you can get a sense for how it winds its way south. Running my finger along one of the sketched rivers, it wobbles this way and that. Do you understand? I do. And? Do you recognize the lay of the land? Not at all. I collapse in defeat a second time. I give up, that's it. There's no helping her. But, I'm certain it is near to Fort Wayne. That much I know. She smiles as if that's enough to content her. Okay. Well, sir, that has to make the journey eventually. I carefully fold up my map into a little square and store it back in my pocket. My stare starts to stare at me again. It really is her favorite pastime. What? What are you doing here? Huh? Where did that come from? You asked me where I'm from and why I'm here. Why are you wandering alone in these plains? The girl hits a nerve with her idle chatter. That's none of your business. That's not very fair. Life isn't fair. Get used to it. Did you run away? What? You're dressed as a soldier. Did you run from a battle? Why don't you just sod off? Sod? A look of confusion spreads across her face. Never mind. She continues to stare at me. I didn't run from a battle. At least, not because I was scared. After all, I'm not a coward. I didn't say you were. I'm letting the native brat wind wind me up. You wouldn't understand. You're too young. Quiet again. Whatever you're thinking, I'm definitely not a coward. You already said that. How would you like a sore ear? A brief silence falls over the shelter. Then, why did you run away? It's immediately broken by another question from the girl. It's not worth going into. Not with someone like her. Not one of them. Back to the captain. We'll have a confrontation, or the past. On the journey home, our ship was raided and I was pressed into military service. Like many, I was offered that same choice. Fight for your freedom and your land, or die on your knees. Soon the Second War came, and I was sent back to the frontier. Redcoats and Yankees fought once more for land belonging to the natives. I can't say I cared much, but I was a good soldier. In those early battles, we pushed on and lay siege to American towns and forts. I fought with some of the best. Patrick Marlowe, Richard Dukes, James Noland. I could even go so far as to call these men my friends. And of course, the man that led the charge, the one whom we all respected, Major General Isaac Brock, a figure to rival Wellington himself. The campaigns were tough, but we found glory early on. Under his command, we captured Detroit and fought at Queenston Heights. But it was there that we watched our brave leader fall. It hit many of us quite hard. Now, under the command of a pig named Proctor, we noticed our fortunes slowly fading away. The Indians continued to fight bravely, but our men were in the constant state of defeat and retreat. I watched as our glorious regiment crumbled and fell apart under Proctor's leadership. The battle-hardened and honorable men I fought with slowly lost morale. We turned to drink and gambling to while away our time. Many spoke of desertion, if only they could find the opportunity. John Ross, the drummer boy, seemed the most frightened of us all. That's why he's the drummer. He'd sit up late into the night, twiddling with his sticks, staring into the embers of a burnt-out fire pit. If only he could find the courage, he'd often tell me, he'd disappear into the forest and never turn back. We'd tease him on it and take bets as to whether the Indians or the wolves would kill him first. Perhaps he made out of that battle a free man. I can still faintly remember that engagement now. Lake Erie had fallen to the Americans a month ago, and our forces were on the run from the Bluecoats. Yankee forces, led by Harrison, attacked our camps at daybreak, midway through our breakfast. In a swamp, on our flanks, Tecumseh led the charge against the American forces. "Major General!" I shout into the tree line, as my brothers-in-arms scatter through the woodland. Leaning against a splintered pine, I shout again, "Major General!" The coward disappeared in the midst of battle, nowhere to be seen, as our ranks broke up and ran. In the panic, we only fired once before retreating into the trees. "Major General! Proctor! Get back here!" Then I see him, almost a blur as he shoots along through the tree line. Our brave Major General passes, a flash of white and red, riding his horse along the dusty pathway. Like a fat animal running off with its tail between its legs, Proctor disappears into the forest, abandoning his men to their fates. As redcoats run, our Indian allies wait on the banks of the river, standing against the American forces. Fellow British soldiers surrender themselves as I turn to see the face of the native leader. In the distance, the warrior of the Panther clan looks into my eyes. We lock gazes, neither one of us flinching. Those deep dark irises stare forlornly, regretfully. Then he turns and rushes forward, with a rallying cry towards a greater enemy in the light of dawn. Winded, I hold my hand to my side, watching as the tan natives hold their ground. Damn it! I'm losing a lot of blood. Not able to watch any longer, I turn and run into the forest, heading for higher ground. Rough. I watched as the brave Proctor rode away into the forest like a coward. Unable to do much more, I followed suit and deserted into the woods. The last of Tecumseh's warriors died there, taken down by Yankee guns. Does the girl even know? Has the news reached her or her village yet? That my division betrayed her tribe and abandoned them on the banks of the river? That we ran into the woods as Tecumseh's warriors ran into the musket fire of the American forces? Speaking of which, where is the girl? I guess I got caught up to thinking. Shivering in the cold, I managed to get up and stretch my legs. The daydreaming gave my aching muscles a rest in any case. I take a few steps forward and find I'm steady on my feet. Walking about the musty barn to warm up, I explore the area. Running my fingers over the nearby crate, a cloud of white dust rises. Scraping away the dead particles, I find the words, "Laird and Company Applejack Cider," painted there. Ooh, cider. Maybe I'm in luck here. It has to be empty. But a quick inspection dashes my hopes. Lifting the lid, I find nothing but straw and broken glass. The person that purchased this booze drank it all long ago. Replacing the cover, I continue to wade through the empty boxes and barrels, looking for the girl. Outside, the sleet continues to fall. I look up at the holes in the ceiling and the raindrops that fall through, splashing on the muddy ground beneath. Autumn is definitely setting in. A chilling draft hangs about the shelter. I soon find her on the other side of the barn. My dawdles near a pile of junk with her back to me. She seems engaged with something in front of her on the heavy support beam. Using a small metal utensil, she scratches pictures into the wooden surface. Wait a minute, that's my knife! I recognize the broken handle and the chip in the blade. You were daydreaming, so I borrowed it. That was in my boot. How the hell did she steal that? You stopped talking and started pulling an angry face. Like that, so I borrowed your knife. You're a little thief in any case. She doesn't respond, too engaged with whatever it is she's doing. I don't pull faces like that. Yes, you do. You do. How would you like it if I gave you a sore ear? You already said that. Maya continues to etch in silence, using the blade to carve symbols into the wood. I look a little closer as she works. In the center of the beam sits some kind of strange creature. That's definitely a little cat. I have a hard time working out what it's supposed to be. A cat? Or maybe a fox? It's a cat. It has a dumb pair of ears. Oi. 6 dumb whiskers and a dumb little smile. Oi. It's a dopey little cat. Not dumb. The legs are misshapen and the perspective is messed up. It's a little doodle by a 12-year-old kid. I'm no artist, but I've seen better whittling. Further down the beam, there are other notches that she must have cut. Counting hours, or days perhaps. Maybe they're just practice cuts, testing the thickness of the beam. It doesn't take much to keep her occupied anyway. Just what is it supposed to be? Wheezy, a dog? Okay, no, that's not a dog. Come on now. That's not a dog, that's a cat. I don't know what kind of dogs you've seen, but that's not a dog. In English, please. It's a dog. That doesn't look like any dog I've seen. Well, a mutt has a tail that long and a flat face like that. We have a dog in our village. I play with him all the time. He wakes me up in the mornings and goes to bed with me at night. He's a good doggy. Another insight into her life that I didn't need to hear. You keep him like a pet, huh? Not so different from us then, I guess. At least not in that regard. Pet? Yeah, you know, a pet. She goes quiet. As in, the dog belongs to you, you own it. No, they don't have that kind of concept of ownership, I think. Pretty sure that was like, you're a funny man. Yeah, you don't own living beings. That's not a thing. Maya smiles at me and shakes her head. Funny? How can you own a dog? I resist the urge to hide my face in my hands. Yeah, it's different cultures entirely. Fundamental. Maybe we're too different after all. I forget that the natives have a poor concept of ownership. It's pretty easy. I know many men that own pets. A white man may own animals and slaves, but we Shawnee live freely with all. That's what my father says anyway. While Maya lectures me on the concept of ownership, she carves other symbols into the beam. There are benefits to animals being pets, you know. Like what? I try to list off the reasons I can think of on the spot. Well, there's food and warmth generously given, companionship, safety, a free bed, scraps to eat. It doesn't seem like too hard to life to me. If a strange man offered you all those things, you would take them? If I were a stray dog, I probably would. And in return, you would become his property? That's right. And you would be beaten when you did as you pleased. You would be given a new name and a collar, and commanded to behave. Well, yes. It's strange. What's strange? You would happily become a slave for some food and a bed. That's not quite... Actually, she's got me there. Well, if it was nothing more than an animal, then yeah. But we were just talking about what ifs, not what we'd really... Oh, come on, you're letting a native outsmart you, Aubrey. Look, there's a difference here. I raise my voice in a defensive manner. Yeah, that means you've lost the argument. It's just how the natural order works out, okay? So animals are meant to be slaves? Think on your feet. Dominion. I just blurted out the word. Dominion? That's right, dominion. I don't actually remember what the word means, but I've certainly heard it before. Good job, Aubrey. It's got something to do with the Bible and animals, I know that much. What's dominion? Desperately racking my brain for memories of dreary church sermons, I stumble upon an answer. Dominion, it's about the rights of mankind. It's to do with God giving man command of the animals. As a Christian man, I have the right to own pets and command them. In truth, I'm not a religious person in the least. But if it shuts her up, I'm all for it. I see. Aha, I've got her now. So what you're saying is... Yes, keep going. She's gonna come up with a good counter for good. You must really like animals, huh? Oh, unexpected. What? No, that's not the wrong thing to take over from this. She continues to smile that dumb smile as I stumble to defend myself. And there's the rights of man and... forget you can win. You can't win against her. I let the silence resume and Mike continues with her scratching. I soon notice a rolled up blanket resting against the wooden beam, near to her satchel. Hey, is that yours? Maya stops her carving. She looks up at me and then to the blanket. That's my mishami. So it's your blanket? It belongs to my village. A blanket that belongs to the entire village. I mean, yeah, you share, you use when you need it. Well, whatever. I'm cold, so let me have it. Looking into my eyes, the girl carefully gets to her feet and picks up the rolled-up rug. No. No? What do you mean, no? Maya backs away slowly, guarding the blanket. This is my mishami. Come on, I'm freezing my ass off over here. I reach for her, but the girl ducks out of the way. I let you take my knife. It's only fair. You didn't really let her. Let me borrow it. Clawing forward again, she jumps back and runs behind the beam. Get back here, you little brat. I grab and grab, but she continues to evade my grasp. Bobbing and weaving through the pile of junk, Maya hops over a pile of boxes and backs around. I follow suit, jumping over the crates and crashing into objects. We pass familiar sights and dash around similar looking areas. It eventually dawns on me that we're running around in circles. Come back here! I call out to Maya and grab at her again. Chasing her around the barn, we keep playing this game of cat and mouse. No! Maya shouts back nervously and knocks over a dusty glass pane to obstruct my path. Ah! I soon run out of breath as the gnawing pain in my arm begins. Stop for a second! Coming to a halt, I lurch forward and breathe deeply. Fine. Keep your bloody rag. Cautiously, the girl comes out of hiding. This is my village's mishami. Alright, I get it. You can't have it. Alright. Maya smiles in triumph. Glancing over her shoulder, my eyes open wide and I point ahead. Hey, what's that? With panic in my voice, I back away as Maya turns around and looks about her. This is my chance. I lunge forward and snatch the blanket out of her hands. Ha! Gotcha! I can't believe you fell for that. Maya leaps up and down, trying to grab her blanket back. I turn my back on her and keep it out of reach. Unsnapping the rope, binding the blanket together, I unravel the rug. What the hell? A multitude of small ceramic, wooden and metal objects spill out, landing on the muddy ground. Little pots, brushes, arrowheads, a small ragdoll, strips of fabric. Maya's face drops and her arms slowly fall to her side. What was all that stuff doing in this thing? I asked the girl, but she doesn't respond. Mishawa isn't the same as a rug. Maya continues to stare at the objects lying in the dirt. What, it's just junk? Immediately her expression changes and Maya takes a step forward. You idiot! Smacking with her open hands, I shove her away with my injured arm. A sharp pain shoots through the shoulder and I fall back as the native girl lashes out at me. Hey, ow, stop! Her blows are practically harmless, but my aching body can't deal with the aggravation. I said stop it! Dropping the blanket, I use my good arm to shove the girl to the ground. Landing in the mud, Maya's backside is covered in wet straw and dirt. A look of shock is painted on her face. That hurt my arm, you brat! Reservedly climbing to her feet, she pulls a sad expression again. What? I didn't shove you that hard. Bending down, Maya scoops up the junk out of the mud. Then, without saying a word, she turns and walks to the other end of the barn. What was that about? Pulling the blanket around my shoulders, I sit down on a dry patch of hay and try to relax. It's just a blanket, now it's not that, man. It's not that. Okay, now back to the captain thing. Captain! In the American Raiders camp, a young scout comes running through. Where's the captain? What is it, boy? The scout skids to a halt, desperately trying to catch his breath. To the south, near the Edwards farm. Spit it out, man. A redcoat's been sighted. The Edwards farm? Yes, sir. That far south? Are you sure? Yes, sir. The captain goes quiet for a few moments. Damn it all. Sir? Then their leader wanders slowly away. What is it? One of the raiders comes to the scout's side. We were there just yesterday. He hands me the boy a small metal cup, brimming with some kind of booze. Raindrops ripple in the drink as they fall and gradually help to fill the container. Really? We stumbled across a group of Brits on the retreat. They were only lads, but... Daniels looks off into the distance. Orders are orders. You got it. Reaching down into his tent, the soldier begins to pack up his things. What are you doing? No doubt the captain's going to make us move out soon. Thanks for nothing. Not in this storm. You don't know the captain. He'd move heaven and earth for the chance to shoot redcoats. He really hates them, huh? Without a reply, the scout watches as soldiers in the camp gather their belongings. Alright then. Finally, quiet has descended over the shelter. Resting up against the wooden beam, I try not to move my arm. A slight stain of rouge from the wound is barely visible against the red of my uniform. Since our brief argument earlier, Maya has opted to give me the cold shoulder. She crouches down by the doorframe with her back to me. Her arms move back and forth as she plays with something on the ground. I peer over, trying to see what she's doing. A small frog hops past, dawdling in the muddy puddles by the door. Mai, crouching near to it, prods its back with a stick. In response, the frog gives her an annoyed look and pulls away. What are you doing? With a start, she slowly turns to face me and pulls a grumpy expression. English manake. English manake? Why did you say it that way? Is she being curt with me? Or maybe it's an insult. To be honest, it would be more of an insult to call me a Frenchman. Shimagana, soldier. Tell me. Machele Nitata, you are my enemy. She keeps speaking her native language, not wanting to hold any sort of conversation. I mean, that's kinda correct. Yeah, that is correct. Enemy. Speak bloody English, will you? I growl in a low tone. No reply. Forget it then. It'd be selfish of her to keep this blanket when I was freezing my ass off. I thought the natives had more sense than to be sentimental over possessions. I recall a commanding officer telling us once that the Shawnee had no concept of ownership. The land belongs to all and to nobody. The natives simply occupied, with no thought to profit or grow anything on it. That's usually the justification for taking it from them anyway. I guess Maya's a child. It's natural for her to be a little selfish. And there's probably some attachment to this blanket. Still, would I rather be warm or let a brat have her way? Matetichi Tota, ugly Frenchman. What was that? You had no right to take my bundle. So you do speak English. What's it to you anyway? It's only a blanket. The mishami is sacred to my village. Mai presents the jug, arrowheads and ceramics from earlier, now all cleaned up. These objects are sacred and must be kept within the mishami to protect the village. Was I supposed to just freeze to death then? You have put my village at risk. It is open to attack from devils. Devils, huh? Then why isn't this mishami thing sitting in your village right now? Wouldn't it do a better job there? It was given to me, to keep safe from people like you. Maya shovels slightly, her arms wrapped around her knees and to keep her warm. People like me? Yes. Okay, yeah, the cat doesn't prove the Englishmen Americans as well. Americans and Englishmen who want to fight us. What are you talking about? She looks at me with puffed out cheeks and gives an audible sigh. Many months ago, some English trappers and Kickapoo soldiers came to speak with my elders. Trappers? You mean in your village? With a listless glaze in her eyes, the girl begins to recount her story. It was during the summer. They brought their guns to our village and enlisted the men and boys to fight. The Americans were coming from the north, and so we had to join the coalition. Many of the men in the village were young and inexperienced. Some wanted to go, but our elders forbade it. The tribes are often divided on whether to fight or to make peace. I imagine her village wanted peace, without actually fighting for it. Such people don't normally survive in wartime. We were told that the area was dangerous. We would be targeted. The English were already at the war in American lands. If any Americans found out about their visits, they would raise the village. Mai slowly nods. My elders told them they should leave them, and we should be safe. So the English Manake took our Mishami and threatened to destroy it. I see. Causing the natives to fight isn't exactly a novel thing in these parts. Sometimes offering them gold and guns isn't enough. You threaten them, taking their sacred things, their women and children. We were to fight back against the Americans and defend our homes. If we did not, we would be betrayed and we would be betraying our kin. We must be allies, we must defend the Confederacy. The Prophet wished for us to join him and his warriors. The Prophet? I've heard of this man. a mad Indian priest, brother to Tecumseh. They started some kind of alliance of natives, a religious cult. Our elders had no choice, and so we made preparations. I was to go with the other children and the elderly. Not that this isn't fascinating, but where exactly is this story going? I reprimand her in a bored tone. Maya gives me a deathly glare and curls up into an even smaller ball. Forget it. She goes silent again. I wasn't trying to be mean, it's just... What does any of this have to do with me taking your blanket? In times of war, when we have to abandon our homes, the shaman must take the mishami. It contains all the hopes of our village. It watches over us all. Okay, so you were the shaman then? No, the shaman is a medicine man. You've already lost me. One who makes others well with magic. A shaman is some kind of witch? Is that what you're telling me? The shaman was given back the mishami once our village was evacuated. She ignores my question. Any that did not fight, the children, the women, the elderly, were to move south. We left the village in a long column, taking what we could. Once we were safe, we were to wait for news of the battle. But we had been lied to by the English. The Americans came from the south, not the north. They discovered our party first, while our soldiers were far away. Perhaps they assumed the raiding party would make a direct march on the village. Or the scout's information must have been wrong. Maya stares off, with a distant look in her eyes. The bluecoats fired on the women and children. They stole what they could from the elderly and the sick. The village elders tried to reason with them. They called on the men to be good Christians, to stop killing innocents. We screamed and cried, but they did not care. They wanted revenge, nothing more. A punitive expedition. Reprisal raids for losses in other battles. Maya's Shawnee village must have been an easy target for them. We dispersed, each Shawnee trying to protect themselves alone. As I tried to flee, I found a shaman lying in the dirt. He was wounded, bleeding from his scalp. He had been shot. In his arms, he's holding onto our village's mishami. So you took the bundle and ran? He asked me to promise to keep it safe. I mean, the village is basically dead now, isn't it? The evacuees were, shot and routed. And the soldiers are, cannon fodder. So it's like... My murmurs in response. I ran until I no longer recognized where I was. Before I knew it, I had left everyone behind. The others must have escaped somehow. The Shawnee girl bites her lip. And then what? I waited in the woods for many days and tried to find my way home. Did my village exist? Had been burned to the ground. Who else managed to escape? As I wandered, I hoped it would all be okay. But on the journey home, I was captured. I was captured by Americans marching north and taken with the prisoners and slaves. So you were a prisoner until now? She nods. I see. It's becoming clearer now. A Shawnee child taken as prisoner. And she must have escaped too. That's why she's hiding out in this abandoned barn. And you had the blanket when they caught you? I kept it safe, just as promised. So she managed to look after the bundle all this time. They took me north. You can stop there, I think I've heard enough. You don't want to know? I'm not interested in hearing any more. I don't think I'd enjoy listening to stories about her captivity. Who knows what those Yankee bastards would do to a girl like her. In this moment, curled up as she is, Ma looks awfully small. I've not seen my village in many months. In all this time, it has been without protection. Those ochre eyes, bright and brilliant, stare deeply into mine. I must return the mishami to the shaman. I must protect my people. I don't know what to say. On the one hand, it's only a blanket and some junk. But after everything, if it's that sacred to her... Warming, Getting up from my sitting position, I remove the blanket from around my shoulders. I pace so halfway across the barn, stop, and hold the rug out to the girl. Here. You're returning it to me? Don't play dumb. It's your fault for browbeating me. Besides, I thought we could trade. Trade? My knife for your blanket. It only seems fair. The things I do to get by in this world. What do you say? Without giving me an answer, she takes the blanket from my hands. Then Maya returns to her crouch position in the corner. Hey. The girl turns her back to me. Hey, where's my knife? She ignores me and starts placing her sacred items back in the rug. What? I don't even get a thank you. I mean, you stole from her first, so it's only like... There's no response. Sitting back down on my patch of hay, I sigh to myself. Why do I even bother? Why do you bother? But anyway, there's gonna be a problem soon. Some time passes in silence. The storm grows more violent as lightning strikes and thunder booms. Water drops splatter on the muddy floor, having fallen through splintered holes in the roof. The wind rattles at the wooden slats in the barn walls and brings the cold in with it. I'm roused from a daydream by a particularly harsh rumble in the distance. It's getting worse, huh? In the corner, Mai sits up, hearing the commotion. A worried look spreads across her face. Could be that she's afraid of loud storms like this one. If only the thunder... Don't think about it. I reassure her. Upon receiving my encouragement, the girl scrunches her face up again. I'm not talking to you. Pouting, the Indian returns to her crouch position. What a little brat. Maya looks back over at me with a grumpy glance. So you're not gonna give me my knife back? No. I guess she still won't forgive me then. It's not enough that I gave you back your blanket? No. What do you want from me? No. That's not an answer. Mata. I don't have the energy for this. What's it going to take, huh? If you don't tell me, I can't know. The girl looks down at her possessions, now wrapped up in the bundle again. I've told you about myself and my home, but you won't tell me about who you are or where you come from. What do you expect me to tell you? That I'm some great warrior or something? It's not just that. You put my village at risk and threaten me and my people. I cannot trust you. What an impudent young girl, but she's correct. So what you're saying is, you're not going to give me my knife back. Nolly, shut up. She growls something in Shawnee again. For the last time, speak bloody English, I mutter back. But she doesn't give me an answer. Instead, I get the standard response. Maya stares at me in silence with a deceptive expression on her face. I sit back, deciding to leave her alone. Even after returning the blanket, all I get is grief. Fine. If she doesn't want to talk to me, I don't want to talk to her. Leaning back, I huddle up to try and stay warm. Having lost the blanket, I feel the strong chill once more. My muscles ache furiously and I curl up in order to retain whatever heat I can. Maybe I should start a small fire. No, that's probably not a good idea in here. I don't want to risk burning down my only shelter. In which case I could finish off the last of my rum. Although, I'd rather save it for another occasion if I can. I might not have much choice in the matter. As I sit back, my eyes wander over to the other side of the barn. Perhaps there's a spare blanket or something, hidden in one of these boxes. It's probably worth a look. Standing up, I make my way towards the pile of junk. Kicking some of the... Oops. No. Kicking some of the trash aside, I look through the musty heap. Chipped vases, broken tools. Isn't there anything of value in this dump? Maya watches silently as I maneuver through the crates and barrels. Strange child. I rummage through the junk, covering myself in dust and dirt. Come on, there's gotta be something. After a few minutes of searching, I eventually find what I'm looking for. Trapped to one side, under some stacked boxes, is a torn old shawl. Gotcha! I begin to pull at the rag, hoping to free it. As I tug, I'm met with resistance and the blanket goes taut. It must be tangled around something inside one of the crates. Maybe caught on a nail or a jagged edge of wood. I grab it again and struggle, but the shawl refuses to come loose. Just open whatever's inside and come on now. The stacked boxes wobble for a moment before settling. Maybe if I pull it this way. Okay, Maya's just like cheekily looking to the side. Jerking to the left and the right, I try to shimmy the blanket. But it doesn't come free. I take a step back and wipe the sweat from my brow. This is gonna take some work. Clasping my hands, I blow and rub them together. If I warm up a little, I should be able to do this. Yet upon looking about me, I freeze. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch sight of the girl. Maya waits behind a nearby beam and watches me as I work. Does she think I can't see her there? She stares at me in silence. This girl really needs a hobby. Turning back to the shawl, I wipe my hands and grab at it again. I yank at the fabric, trying to wiggle it loose. Dust and cobwebs fall down and coat my hair in a light sprinkling of powder. But the rag remains firmly wedged between the heavy crates. For a moment, I stop and glance across at the girl. She quietly tiptoes closer towards my position. Is she going to try and sneak up and surprise me? Or maybe she's just interested in what I'm up to. What is it? I call out to her. My darts backwards, hiding from view. Hey, I can still see you. The girl watches me, curiously, from her hiding place. No response. What a creepy child. Well, if she won't let me have her blanket, I'll be taking this one instead. I pull again at the shawl, but to no avail. From above comes a creaking sound as I grip and twist the cloth. Mike cautiously moves out of sight as the boxes groan under the stress. Damn it, why won't you budge? I look up in panic as the heavy crates begin to wobble and fall. Good job, Aubrey. Pulling the rag, it rips, and the stacked boxes come crashing down with a huge clatter. Reacting quickly, I try to leap out of harm's way, but one of the boxes smashes into my shoulder and brings me to the ground with a thud. Landing in the mud with a splash, the shawl comes flying with me. My emerges unharmed from behind a beam. With a big smile on her face, the engine laughs in triumph. Oh yeah, it's fair. Hey, this is funny. It kinda is funny though. You were being a dumb monkey there, Aubrey. Some great warrior. She continues to laugh and mock me in Shawnee. I could have been seriously hurt, you know, and that would have been your own fault. Anyway, I thought she wasn't talking to me. With a frown, I look over my body for injuries. Craning my neck, I feel a twinge of pain in my back and seize up. Ah, damn it! What if I've damaged something important? I could have really hurt myself this time. I try to move my head, but a shock shoots through my spine, putting me out of action. Ah! I give up. This is it for me. I'm going to die here, in this musty old barn, with a crazy engine girl staring at me. I cocks her head inquisitively. What? Coming forward, the girl places a hand on my jaw. What are you... Slowly, she begins to move her palms across my cheekbones and down my chest. Mike cautiously checks me over for bumps and bruises, prodding at my skin. You really are weird. I wait patiently while I'm examined, grimacing a little as I lie there. Following her line of sight, I check for damage too. The skin appears to be unmarked, no splinters or cuts. As she presses at my muscles, I'm not put in any real agony. My shoulder aches a little, but I don't think I broke it in or anything. Maybe the damage wasn't too extensive. Holding my outstretched arms, I turns them over a few times. The child then takes a step back. She concludes her investigation with a quiet glance, letting my hands fall away. Is that it? As I ask this, I find I can move again, albeit in pain. I twist my head this way and that, the hurt in my back quite quietly receding. Maybe I was being dramatic. I guess I'm fine. I'll probably ache for a few hours though. Still, that was pretty damn close. Chunks of wood lie broken in the dirt as the dust settles. Nails and splinters sink into the puddles and hay sticks to my backside. I really made a mess of this place. But at least I'll have something to keep me warm now. The shawl. The patterned fabric falls through my fingers as I clutch at it. Looking down at the supposed blanket in my hand, I find only tatters of ripped cloth. It was destroyed as soon as I yanked it out. Letting out a sigh, I drop the ruined rag on the muddy floor. Why won't anything go right today? Sitting, drenched in a puddle, I hang my head in defeat. I don't know why I bother. Gradually, I realize the girl is still watching me. What is it? I mutter, expecting a response for some reason. Maya reaches a hand out and rests it against my good shoulder. With a gentle movement, she pats me there. Is she trying to cheer me up? The engine doesn't say anything as she leans against me. Her eyes are fixed on my bad arm and bandaged wound there. So, you've forgiven me then? I inquire with a smile. As if suddenly remembering, I pulls a determined expression. The girl turns around and heads to her corner again. She must be quite forgetful, either that or she's simple. I give her a good laugh and she checked me over for injuries. Is she even mad at me? Or is it just for show at this point? Before she gets to her side of the barn, the engine stops halfway. Another boom of thunder sounds in the distance. For a second, she turns and looks at me with a nervous face. Or maybe she really is frightened of the loud noises. Perhaps she wanted a distraction from the storm. Maya waits for a few moments and seems to stare right through me. Then, studying her resolve, she walks away. In her corner, the child curls up and turns away from me. Lost in her own thoughts now, she watches the sleet drumming against the wooden paneling. Right now, she looks awfully small again. Slowly, I crawl across the earth floor towards my patch of hay. Each small movement hurts as I clamber inch by inch. Perching down on the dry straw, I clutch at strands of the stuff and try to cover myself. It's the best I can do for now, even if it makes me look like a damaged scarecrow. Outside, the rain continues to fall as thunder rumbles in the distance. Sitting there, I feel my eyelids gradually growing heavier and heavier. After everything I've been through, the least I deserve is a short nap. It's not like this girl's going to try and pull anything. Let's lie low and see if she's forgiven me in a few hours. My heart rate slows, and I begin to count the beats. Gently, I drift off into a deep and rewarding slumber. Finally, some rest. And now? A dream? Aubrey. A memory. A voice echoes, Aubrey! It's the haunting dream I always see. The visions that never leave me. A voice calling, recounting stories to me. And glowing figures dancing in fire. Long ago, there was a woman who lived alone in her village. She was young and beautiful, perhaps the most beautiful woman ever to have lived. What the hell? Every day she combed her long, thick hair with eagle oil. Her full body had grown healthy with venison. The skin was soft like a corn silk, and her eyes were piercing. The men of her tribe would offer her gifts of meat and jewelry, but the woman would always refuse. She knew it best herself. She was too beautiful to have just any man. And so she lived alone, admiring her own beauty. Many months passed as she spent her time in solitude. Sitting by the lake, she would stare at her own reflection in pure bliss. She was too good to be like the others. She was too beautiful. Then, that all changed. One day she met a mysterious man. She had been carrying her own heavy chopped wood from the forest. Catching his eye on the journey home, he pursued her relentlessly. This man followed her from the river all the way back to the village. "Maiden, let me help you with your labor," he said as he caught up. Caught unaware, she knew not what to say. She was too nervous to even look into his eyes. All she could do was smile. He carried the chopped wood with her for her. He carried the water baskets from the cornfields for her. The man watched out for her, and she grew to rely on him. As they spent time together, she slowly watched him. This man was like no one she had ever known before. Those piercing brown eyes carried the kind expression. The feathers tied in his hair seemed to float with each step he took. His long hair, longer than hers, blew behind him as he walked beside her, like a smoke drifting in the wind. For the first time in her life, the girl was enveloped in someone other than herself. "Allow me to invite you to my home, to meet my family." His powerful voice swallowed her whole as he spoke. This man she had grown to admire. He held some kind of sway over her. And so the beautiful girl followed him. She could not look into his darting eyes, yet she smiled all the while. When she arrived at his home, she found them both alone. His family must be out for the moment. That was the excuse he gave. Oh dear. He told her of his two sisters and his mother. They were a close family, all living together as one people. The more he spoke, the more she grew to admire this man and his slick features. She wished to remain here. She could no longer return to her old home. And so she stayed with these people, for they appreciated her and needed her company. The woman accepted this strong man as her man and became one of them. Or maybe not. I rushed to conclusions. Their life was quiet. These people lived close-knit, happily sharing with one another. But as time passed, the beautiful girl felt something was very wrong here. At times when she wished to wander, She was forbidden by her man. Ah, never mind. I was right the first time. Beyond the woods, there lay something hidden, but she was not to know. At night, there would be much rustling. Sometimes she would awaken and find the family coiled in some strange entanglement. At other times, they would simply watch her with their piercing eyes and smile. One day, her man came back later than usual from the hunt. His hands bloody with cuts, his hair tangled in snarls, his moccasins torn. He was tired, far too tired to go on. He lay down on his bedroll with his head on this beautiful woman's lap. She stroked his hair, feeling the weariness of his spirit. His hunt had gone poorly and, chasing a deer to a cliff, he fell from a great height. Wounded and broken, the man was not long for this world. The beautiful woman felt a great sadness as she watched her beautiful man. As she tended to his wounds, her husband writhed in pain. It was then that she noticed that his body was transforming. His breathing slowed as he jerked and turned into a gigantic beast. The jaw dislocated and stretched as a pair of hideous fangs descended. The beautiful woman felt the hair she was stroking shrink to scales that covered his head. Okay. A long tail coiled its way around the girl as a pair of dark golden eyes stared out at her. He had become a slimy, slithering serpent. Upturning blankets and destroying pots, the monster hissed as its forked tongue shot in and out. Still weak, his grip was not strong enough to hold her down. She carefully inched her way out from under his massive fanged head and escaped outside. The snake saw the woman's fearful expression and followed. "We are serpent people. We are good people and only wish you well." The woman trembled, tripping backwards over her own feet. "My love, stay here with me forever. I will love you always." The slithering monster grew ever closer. "If you must go, then go quickly. But I will find you and I will bring you back where you belong." The serpent hissed and cackled as the woman desperately turned and fled. "Run! Run and go quickly! Do not look back!" The beautiful woman ran as the monster slowly followed. Her feet trampled through the grasslands and the forests. When she came to the edge of the woodland, she discovered why it was forbidden. Long stretches of dead snakeskin lay in the dirt. This place was a nest for serpents, and she was to be their prey. Crying in fright, the woman heard the hissing behind her and started running again. Over hill and over plain, she sprinted, desperate to get away. Her legs moved quickly at first, then as she thought about her good man, his kindness, his abilities, she slowed. Her mind argued with her heart. How could she run away from such a beautiful and goodly man? Eventually, she found she had lost the beast somewhere behind her. Coming to a halt, desperate to catch her breath, the girl sat down to rest. She was tired and decided to close her eyes and pray. On the hillock, she remained in silence, slowly feeling the energy leave her body. And there she had a dream, a quiet dream. Aubrey. Slowly, the vision evaporates, vanishing. The story of the woman and the serpent fades away, and my head grows heavy. The voice grows quieter, calling to me gently from the abyss. Aubrey! He never told her his name, did he? No, wait, yes he did. I wake with a start from my slumber. Taking some deep breaths, I feel the hot sweat trickling down my brow. What was that I saw? A woman, a snake, that same strange fever dream. The one I've had every night for the past year. I'm cursed. I must be. I'm not sure when I fell asleep, but it must have been getting dark. If I had to guess, I'd say it was past midnight now. Staring into the darkness, my eyes slowly adjust to the gloom. Shadows and reflections of raindrops are projected against the barn walls from outside. Even though it's overcast, the moon must be shining brightly from behind the clouds. As I try to move, I feel a heavy weight pressing against me. I'll huddle up for warmth. You kinda have. Typically that's how it works. I find my resting her head against my intact shoulder. Her small chest gently moves in and out as she breathes. In order to reach my shoulder, she's propped herself up on an old cider crate. Hey. I give her a small nudge in an effort to wake her up. Mine makes a small noise, but doesn't rouse from her slumber. Nuzzling her cheeks into my shoulder, the girl sleeps quietly, not stirring again. What a cheeky brat. In return for being her pillow, I guess I'm forgiven. Fine, have it your way, I quietly mutter. Mine makes another small noise and glimpses of a smile flutters across her lips. For a thieving little brat, she looks rather cute when she sleeps like this. What am I thinking? Trying not to move, I look around me. By our feet I notice the blanket has been tied up into a bundle once more. The sacred objects are most likely wrapped inside again. I consider untying it, but that might be pushing it. Checking my left arm, I notice the bandages have been replaced. Did she redress the wound while I was sleeping? Did you? I start to whisper but cut myself short. Leaning my head back, I listen to the rain falling outside. The storm must have been raging for over 24 hours now. But the pitter-patter of the water drops sounds somewhat lighter than it did before. Perhaps it'll light up by morning. Mai slowly begins to rouse. Aubrey. Mai? I prod her, but she appears to drift off back to sleep. Well, so much for some company. She's lost in trying to find her family. I wonder if she'll manage to make it once the rain lets up. Will her family be eager to see her? Will she be able to return to a quiet life after her time in captivity? A Shawnee village, huh? Sounds like a peaceful kind of place. It's to the south, near to a lake, and deep into native territory. Nothing but woodland and fields for miles around. Nothing for miles around. Suddenly a thought strikes me. What if I accompanied her back to her home? There it is. It's a dangerous wilderness out here, with bluecoats camping out everywhere. It could be to our advantage if we stuck together. And Mai's village could be a good place to rest up for a few days. I could trade the uniform for some supplies and maps, draw up a route. Then I could make my way downstream and south to freedom. It'll give me something to head towards when the sun comes up. And means I can stay off the main roads that I'd have to take to any Yankee towns. I look at the small Indian girl as she drools on my shoulder. Shawnee natives probably won't want an Englishman hiding out in their village for very long. But if I bring her back in one piece, they might even reward me for the effort. Some furs, some gold, maybe even a bride. Hey, Mai, do you have a sister? I jokingly whisper. She's in too deep to respond. All in all, it's not a terrible idea. Better to have some bargaining chips on my way south than none at all. I'll talk to the girl about it in the morning. Ease her into the idea. The last thing I want is to scare her off. There's no village to come back to. And if she doesn't want me to go with her, what then? She might not have forgiven me yet. She might just be using me as a bedding. Well, I could always follow behind, stalk her movements, but she doesn't know where she's going. So, we're both headed south and avoiding Yankee troops, so we'll be following the same roads. It'd be stupid not to stick together for at least some of the journey. What a dumb plan. Still, it's better than nothing. A calm atmosphere hangs over the musty barn. The rain continues to pour down outside as Mai sleeps against me. Maybe I should tell her about the battle on the Thames River. Perhaps I owe her that much after everything. She is a child, but in some ways I feel I should have a little faith in her. Mai said it herself, she cannot trust me. I didn't feel she needed to know about any of that. We're from different worlds. The less we interact, the better. That's what I thought. I guess I wasn't delicate enough with her. Jeez, Sabi, you're going soft. I muttered to myself aloud. Still, I couldn't predict how overly trusting a little girl would be. I mean, I pointed my gun at her and she didn't move. Aubrey. She says my name again. Having lost myself in my own thoughts, I almost sit up in surprise. What is it? Is she waking up? Happy kamite. Soup. Soup. The child mutters something in Shawnee and drifts off back to sleep. I mean, soup would be good here, yes. A nice bowl of warm, hot soup. I watch her in disbelief for a few moments. Then I begin to crack a smile and try to gently suppress a chuckle. How stupid. Just what am I doing here? Really, what is going on? If any of the men from my regiment saw me like this, well, let's say I'd never live it down. Trying to remain still, I sit back and smirk to myself. Listening to the falling sleet outside, I wondered what tomorrow might bring. The bluecoats. The captain and his men. That's what it might bring. When I wake the next morning, I find the rain has stopped falling. Outside the sky is still grey and overcast. Glancing down, I find Mai is up before me. That's annoying. I want to see if she got embarrassed about sleeping on my shoulder. Yawning, I look about the barn, but the girl is nowhere to be found. Sitting up, I listen out for her. Mai. I thought she might be whittling or messing around with my possessions. Did she leave without telling me? Mai! I call it again, but receive no response. Gradually, I stand up and search the area. Mai, where are you? Looking over at the cider crates, I can't see her there. She's not scratching up against the post or crouching in the near corner. Just where is she? Perhaps she set out on her own as soon as the rains lit up. Technically, she didn't excuse my actions yesterday. Although she slipped on my shoulder, maybe it was out of convenience rather than forgiveness. It's a shame. I thought maybe she and I could... Still, she might not have left yet. If she's waiting outside or she's just down the road, maybe I can still stop her in time. As I make for the door, I hear the sound of rustling nearby. Coming to a halt, I look about me. Mai? That came from near those crates. Traipsing over a pile of junk, I make my way towards the far corner of the barn. I see jet black hair, bound up in a headscarf and a pair of button discs tied into pigtails. It's the girl, hiding out of sight, crouching behind some broken boxes. Mai, there you are. Good morning. She nonchalantly greets me without a dour glance. What are you doing over there? Looking for some string? String? I need it. She says that in a determined manner, not elaborating further. I feel some relief as she kneels there, with her hands buried deep in the antique junk. I thought you might have run off. Why would I run away? Well, I just thought you might. I mean, after yesterday... I tried to wake you, but you wouldn't budge. So I waited and started to look for some rope. Why do you need rope? I need it. Put bluntly, I guess she doesn't want to go into it. I was dreaming. Did you have a good dream? Not really. Isn't a bit of nightmare to see a woman... It's a bit of a nightmare to see a woman marry a snake every other night. I guess it would be. Are you feeling okay? She pulls an uncertain expression. I'm fine, don't worry about it. You were shivering in your sleep. I said I'm fine. The last thing I want is a child concerned with my well-being. Is that so? That's so. Maybe she thinks she got away with sleeping on my shoulder. Well, whatever. The rain stopped. Huh? Oh, yeah. The storm's finally over. A few moments of awkward calm pass between us. Then Mai comes quietly closer towards me. She does the silent staring thing again, waiting for a prompt. What is it? The girl holds out her hand, offering me something. There, clutched in her grubby palm, is my knife. So you're trading it to me? Yes. I take my blade and place it back in my boot, out of the way. Yesterday, I did not mean what I said. What you said? I said I did not trust you. I made you out to be a bad soldier. Oh, that. Is she apologizing for giving me the cold shoulder? I behaved like a child. Well, you are a child, it's fine. You are a child, so don't fret about it too much. You are not my enemy. You are a good person. And I forgive you for taking my mishami. I am sorry. So she said it. Well, don't worry about stuff like that. I must apologize. I must make amends for what I have said. She's really going for it, huh? Look, you stole my knife, I stole your mishami. We said some mean stuff to each other. I made mistakes too, so we're both sorry. I stumbled with my words a little. Let's just call it even. Before this gets any more strange. Even? Yeah, I don't owe you, and you don't owe me. A fresh start. She stares at me for a few moments. Then the girl smiles in a kind fashion. Agreed. I feel a slight twinge inside. Something akin to a moth in my belly. Maybe she isn't such a brat after all. Okay? Okay. The girl turns her back on me for the time being and packs up her belongings. Tying her bundle to her satchel straps, she lets the mishami hang under her left arm. Crouching down, she fastens her little red boots, readying herself for a journey. Standing up, the Shawnee child faces me. What are you planning to do? She brought up the subject by herself. Me? Let's see. I began to recount my original plan. I'll be heading southwest to the edges of Yankee territory. At least, far enough that I can't be pressed or made a prisoner. If I can't, I'll try to make it to Vincent's first, buy some supplies. After that, I'll ditch the uniform for good and start somewhere new. Maybe working in a frontier town. A mine or a logging camp, something like that. I suddenly stopped. She got me talking nonsense without realizing it. Anyway, what about you? What are your plans?
I'll walk to my village.
Are you sure you can find by yourself?
It's to the south, on a lake by a forest, and north of Fort Wayne. I should be able to make it.
You people really should learn to name places and write them down.
A bluecoat told me that it's about 5 days on foot from Fort Shelby, where I escaped.
Fort Shelby? I'm not certain where that is.
You people should give your settlements better names.
Point taken. So you'll be heading south for another few days? Assuming she's avoiding the main roads and any bluecoat forces in the area.
That's right.
Then I stopped myself short.
Then?
Well, I scratched the back of my head in a nervous fashion like a fucking anime character. Good job. Well, since we're heading in the same direction... For fuck's sake.
Just say it.
Well, maybe I could help you reach your village. I mean, you probably have supplies, food. I could trade your people some coin for that much.
Really?
Or you could give it for free since I'll deliver you safely home.
I'll pass.
I begin to grin wryly. Slowly my breaks into a smile too. What a stupid conversation to have. Well, what do you say? Want to stick together a bit longer? I hold out my hand. She looks down and then up into my eyes.
Do as you please.
Grasping my hand in hers, she shakes with a firm grip before breaking away. With that, our alliance will continue for a little longer. Just don't expect my parents to trade me for some coin too. As if. I'm not that kind of soldier.
Is that so?
I remember last night, sitting up in the darkness and pondering alone. And I'll tell you a bit more about myself. If that's what it takes for you to trust me. There are some things we should talk about.
Okay, you could tell me about them as we're walking.
Maya begins to wander away, with her hands behind her back.
Are you sure you wouldn't try to buy me?
Definitely not. Besides, you're not my type. I don't go for puny brats.
Puny?
Never mind, you wouldn't get it.
Boo.
The girl pulls a face and sticks out her tongue at me. Packing up our things, we both head for the barn door. Wait here, I'll check and see if the coast is clear. I make ready with my rifle as if to confirm this.
There's no one outside.
What?
I can't sense anybody moving around outside.
I'd rather see for myself than rely on your instincts. Gently nudging Maya out to one side, I take a short breath and open the door. Stepping out of the barn, I shut the wooden door behind me. My leather boots are slowly caked in mud as I take my first steps outside. The waterlogged ground sinks beneath the weight of my frame. Inspecting the area, I find a low mist hanging overhead. The weak fog clings gently to the air and makes my heavy clothes feel damp. A light breeze blows too, bringing with it a nasty chill. I wrap myself up more tightly in my overcoat and do a sweep of the area. No sign of any bluecoats or any farmers. Looking west and east, I find nothing. Nobody in sight. Okay, it all looks good. Maya steps outside and comes to my side.
I told you there was nobody outside.
Yeah.
I already looked anyway.
You what?
I checked while you were packing your things.
The nerve of this child. Well, better safe than sorry. I feel a hand gently tugging on the sleeve of my coat.
Shall we go?
Maya says, ever so sweetly, with a smile. The nerve. With a nod, we both start on our journey. But it's not over, obviously. Together we walk down the road and past the rest of an abandoned farm. Old stables and shacks make up this small and empty neighborhood. One shed has collapsed in on itself completely, whilst others are following suit. The wood slowly rots as it's ravaged by the elements, unattended. A broken down plow rests against a makeshift fence in a nearby field. Staring harder, it seems the metal is beginning to rust. If the owners return soon, may see some good use. That's if they ever return. The dilapidated war zone is probably beyond saving. Walking along the wet path, we pass a misspelled sign reading, "No trespassing." That pretty much says it all.
Mai seems completely disinterested, not turning back once. Maybe she has the right idea. I try to put the farm out of mind as we continue on our way. As we head due south, we soon find ourselves in a familiar area. It's the scene of an earlier battle, the field I passed through on my way to the barn. I must have been turned around during the storm and wandered back north. A fog hangs over the area as the dark clouds above begin to pass over the horizon. Perhaps we'll get some sun if we're lucky. The place is littered with dead soldiers, although they're somewhat unrecognizable in the light of day. Some of the bodies have started to sink under the earth, dissipating into the soil and sludge. It rained for so many days, so the ground has become pure liquid mud. The red and blue coats stand out vividly against the dying grass, but the pasty faces are slowly rotting through to the muscle and the bone. One young lad lies in the long grass, his ghostly visage seemingly at peace. The boy can't be any older than 16. The uniform barely fits his frail frame. As we progress through the field of corpses, I watch May cautiously. She must have seen much fighting in these plains. Indians against British, British against Americans, Indians against Indians. Curiously glancing at the men as we pass them, she mutters, "Autumn. Autumn. The season of dying." Ah, you mean autumn. Pakotai. Pakotai. With a gentle nod, Mai continues along the path. She doesn't seem to have anything more to say, so we walk on in silence. Pakotai, huh? The season of dying. The leaves fall, plants wither, the animals disappear into their burrows. And all the while, men kill one another for the right to seed the land the next year. As we walk on, I stop on occasion to check the corpses for supplies. Coinage, gunpowder, biscuits, musket balls, anything I get my hands on. But as far as I can see, these bodies have been stripped of their goods. Undeterred, I eventually find a corpse that hasn't been raided. Reaching into his coat pocket, I discover a clutch of damp crackers. Luck is on my side for a change. While I search the body, Mai waits and watches. "Should you be taking from them like that?" "Dead men have no use for powder or coin." "I meant the biscuits." "There are weevils in them." "Huh?" Looking over the clutch of crackers in my hand, I notice lots of little beetles crawling around. "Throw it away." To make a point, I pick one off and hold it up for Mai to see. Then with one quick move of the hand, I pop it in my mouth with a crunch. Nothing wrong with a little protein. I guess that is not wrong, technically. That's gross. I mean, not really. Food's food. Bugs are just bugs. There are probably more parasites in the rabbits you eat. That's also probably true. While we continue to walk, I notice Mai beginning to drag her heels. "Do you need a break?" "No, I should be okay." "Right. I don't remember passing these hills in the distance. Are we going in the right direction?" Looking up at the grey clouds above, I can just make out a round halo of light behind them. This should be southward, judging by the sun's position. If we keep heading towards those hills until the clouds break, then we can get a proper bearing. Mai nods and we walk on in silence. It really is muddy. It is. I didn't expect it to rain for so long. It was a particularly harsh storm. Careful you don't slip. Ah! As soon as I say that, Mai's feet fall from underneath her and she crashes down into a puddle. "Mai!" I rush to her side. Mai is sitting down in the mud, holding her bundle above her head to keep it dry. "I saved it." "Idiot, you should worry about yourself first." Shortly, I help the young girl to her feet. Are you alright?" "I'm fine." "Your dress is caked in mud." "But I saved the Mishami." Despite that, she continues to pull a dour expression. "I'm sure you'll dry out once the clouds break." "Aubrey." Then again, it was a pretty stupid thing to do. "Hey." "Where are you? Simple?" Mai gives me a shove and I fall backwards into the sludge. Ugh. Hey, what the hell are you playing at? "There, now who looks stupid? You little brat." I swipe at her, trying to pull the shiny girl to the ground, but she narrowly dodges and takes a few steps back. "Damn it." "Serves you right. Get back here now. Anyway, let's keep moving." The girl happily jogs ahead, jumping over the puddles. "Hey, get back here." I call out to her, but she runs off. "Hey, Mai!" Looking back at me, the girl smirks and sticks her tongue out. Then I watch as she, once again, slips and falls into the sludge. Ha! Maybe she really is an idiot child. I reckon this makes us even anyway. With the two of us covered in dirt, we both look like soaked rats. Clambering to my feet, I make my way through the dying grasses towards my fallen ally. Our journey begins uneventfully as we trudge through the muddy hills of Michigan territory. We continue to progress south and try to avoid the main roads as we go. This entire area was under British control until recently. Now it's a complete wilderness again, full of American raiders and enemy natives. Passing south over the rivers, I recall the battles. Just east of here, we fought at a place called Frenchtown on the Raisin River. At that time, the waters were frozen and the Americans crossed to attack our Canadian allies. Proctor marched our regiment out of Fort Meldon and south of Frenchtown to their defense. We surprised the enemy at daybreak as the Indians lay waste to their scattered forces. Our artillery bombarded their lines while the Essex muskets flanked the enemy. The regulars broke and ran within minutes, but several rifle regiments held out in the main town. They managed to repel our assaults, killing many of our countrymen with their marksmanship. Eventually, they were forced to surrender and taken prisoner. Proctor forced our retreat north of Brownstown, leaving behind the Yankee troops. There are rumors of what happened to those that surrendered. Stories of a massacre by the Indians and mangled corpses strewn across the countryside. Scalpings, robbery, torture, the burning of the wounded. "Remember the River Raisin," they would cry in memory. I look on as my Shawnee ally wanders ahead, innocently watching the horizon. Is she capable of such cruelty, I wonder? Honestly, push comes to shove, anyone can be pushed into some really nasty decisions when the choices are limited and the environment is fucked up. Yes, potentially. The dark clouds above eventually clear after several hours of hiking. Warm winds blow across the hills and plains, breathing new life into everything they touch. The soggy ground begins to dry and puddles evaporate in the sunlight. A fresh feeling overwhelms the region. As we come to an area of woodland, the birds begin to make noise. Looks like the weather is finally turning. "Oh, shaky, it's a fine day." The Shawnee girl comes to my side. The sunbeams burst through the canopy, leaving shadows of dancing leaves on my face. Fresh dew on the long grass and the undergrowth glistens in the daylight. There's a slight rustling from the brush as small animals emerge from their burrows. Perhaps we should take a short break and rest our feet. We've been marching since dawn after all. Are you sure? Besides, you've got stubby legs. I'm not sure how much longer you can go on. Hey, I don't have short legs. I know, you're just small for your age. Why are you being so mean to me? I'm just being honest. I can keep going. Yeah, right, you couldn't last another hour marching through this thicket. Well, it's true, she does have somewhat shorter legs. Just watch me. My storms off into the brush. Where are you going? I'm going on ahead. Ahead? I can still walk, so I'm going to walk. Huh? What are you talking about? We meet up again later. Wait a minute, come back here. The girl disappears into the forest. Stubborn brat. How am I supposed to find her again in this mess? Surely she's not stupid enough to go running off on her own. Unless... She's probably playing with me, hoping I'll chase after her. This is a game of hers. In which case, I just have to be patient and wait her out. She'll come back. Oh no, she won't be. I sit down in the dirt and rest again against a tree trunk, before putting my feet up. She's probably hiding behind an oak and sniggering. Nah, she's gonna be captured by the captain and Daniels and McTowry and whatever those guys who are coming towards this place. You won't outsmart me. As I start to rest, I feel a sudden gnawing hunger in my belly. Reaching into my pocket, I take out the looted biscuits and tuck into lunch. Now that they've dried out, they're not half bad. They have a certain lumpy texture to them, from too much flour. But other than that, they're all good. Slowly, I begin to hear something. A repetitive drumming noise, the sound of marching nearby. Dropping my handful of crackers, I quickly duck down behind a nearby log. Where's that coming from? Inching my way out of the undergrowth, I look through the tree line for movement. Close to my position, I find a regiment of Americans on the move. The column continues to make its way north, not wavering from the trodden path. They're not looking for deserters. I don't think they'll be scouting the woodland for someone like me. It was a party of raiders. If it was a party of raiders, it'd be different. Still, I should keep my head down and wait for them to pass. I cautiously watch as the bluecoats march along the beaten road in the distance. My! Damn, where's that girl? She would go running off at a time like this. We've been fighting and toying with one another most of the morning. I thought we'd seal the new alliance as we left the barn. Maybe I'm the stupid one for getting into an argument with a kid. Eventually, the column begins to fade away into the north. I breathe a sigh of relief. Clambering to my feet, I scrape the dirt off my knees. Maybe we should move further south, into Indian lands, before trying to rest up. My! I call gently into the brush. Picking up my musket, I make my way deeper into the forest. Walking through the woodland, I enjoy the splintered sunlight on my face. The birds twitter from their nests, and the branches dance on the light breeze that blows past. Now that the thunderstorms ended, I'm beginning to feel much fresher. Reflections from the leaves above create a warm green glow throughout the forest. It fills me with a sense of optimism. It's a kind of remuneration for making it out of Proctor's regiment in one piece. As I make a path through the undergrowth, I listen out for the Shawnee girl. I soon find her, hanging from a nearby elm. A pair of stubby legs kick about from above as she holds onto a branch. She adjusts her grip as she swings about. We exchange quiet glances. What are you doing? There's no answer. My drops down and lands with a thud on the ground. Please don't do that again. I approach the girl and rest a hand on her head. Did you hear the soldiers marching? Ma looks up at me, blinks twice and looks away again. I was worried you'd let them catch you. She doesn't respond. The girl watches ahead cautiously as we wait in the woods. What is it? Can you hear more coming? Shh! She brings her index finger to her lips in a motion to remain silent. What are you? Then, slowly, step by step, she makes her way into the middle of the oak clearing. Pulling a knife from out of her satchel, she bends it over and begins to saw at something hidden in the foliage. What? Wait, did you steal my knife again? She finishes her handiwork. What is it? Turning around with a smile, the girl presents a dead rabbit caught in a makeshift trap. With a tight rope around its neck, the creature probably got itself stuck emerging from its burrow. Is that trap one of yours? I said a few minutes ago. She seems awfully proud of her achievement. I mean, that is pretty impressive. If you see another running about, let me know. A nod towards the musket slung over my shoulder as a hint. I know you would just destroy the thing. Oh, also, I snatch a knife out of her hands. Give me that. I told you not to steal my things. That's not your knife. Huh? Inspecting the unbroken handle, I realize she's right. It's made from a smoother wood and has some kind of inlaid native symbol. Where'd you get this? It's mine. My father gave it to me. You have your own knife? Then why'd you steal mine? I didn't want to blunt my blade carving into the beam. Oh, I see, so it's fine if you chip my knife, is it? I hand the tool back to her and reach into my boot after my own. Huh, that's weird. What's weird? My knife is missing. Did you lose it? No, I didn't lose it. Then where is it? As I search the other boot and all about my person, I realize it's gone. I lost it. I hang my head in defeat. The girl reaches over and gently pats me on the back. I don't need your sympathy. She retracts her hand and warily watches me, as always. Anyway, it was an old knife. I can always find another. My hands make a quick work as she reties the rope around the small bunny. That rabbit should do for dinner in any case. Then she attaches the prey to her belt. If I can bag us another one or two, we'll be sorted for breakfast as well. I was going to eat it for lunch. We can't start cooking here. There's a Yankee regiment only 5 minutes up the road. What am I going to eat then? I reach into my pocket and pull out the stolen rations. Here, have a biscuit. I'm not eating that. Don't act spoiled. She still doesn't take them. Never mind then, more for me. I stuff the chunky crackers back into my coat. Looking around at the bushes in the area, I try to identify some berries. Hang on, where is it? I pass by my and towards an apple tree. Oh, growing in the middle of the clearing. Oh, that's a lucky find. Reaching up into the branches, I pluck a piece of fruit and turn it to the girl. Here, catch. I toss the apple to her. She gives me an apprehensive look. Apples? It's an apple, try it. Shrugging her shoulders, Mai takes a bite out of the juicy orb. There's the familiar crunching sound as she does. It's sweet. A happy smile works its way across her lips. Right? I fold my arms and smirk. That ought to keep her quiet for a bit. Suddenly the girl pulls an unhappy expression. Mai, what is it? She spits out chunks of the apple onto the forest floor. A half-bitten worm crawls around the chewed up mush. Oh. You made me eat a worm. I didn't mean to. Grimacing, the girl wipes her mouth with the back of her hand. In any case, we need to keep moving. I pocket a few apples for the journey. They can't have all bugs in them. We can eat a good meal tonight when we make camp. Mai gives me a quiet glance. Reaching down, I take hold of her small hand in mine. Do you reckon you can keep going a little longer? I think I can manage it. Okay. Together, we both pushed onward into enemy lands. In the battlefield to the north, a group of blue-coat soldiers inspect nearby corpses. Check each one carefully. A noble-looking captain watches over the operation. Search for anyone that looks fresher than the others. The group have been trudging the field for hours, trying to find any clues. As expert trackers, they really have their work cut out for them. Hey, just who are we looking for here? We've got a report from a scout down this way. Says he saw a redcoat limping in the direction of the abandoned Edwards farm only yesterday. Well, if he was here, he would have died at least a week back. These corpses are falling apart. There's not a fresh face among them. Captain? Search them again. I want to make sure. The captain wanders off, inspecting the other forces. What's this about? We only finished these guys off the other day. The soldier lifts a corpse out of the mud and slips backwards into the long grass. You know how it is. It's only one redcoat. Well, that's the captain. Determined to the end to catch and kill British soldiers. He's probably too far south by now. There's no chance we'll find him. You two, less complaining, check those bodies. Yes, sir. The men put themselves to work, examining the corpses. The clouds begin to break in the distance and the sun peeks through. Further along the line, the captain stops and stares into the long grass. What's this? There's a slight parting in the foliage and two pairs of sunken footprints in the mud. A soldier's boots and a much smaller pair of shoes. A child or a woman perhaps? He follows the clues for a while and finds a trail leading off into the distant hills. Gotcha! Captain, we found something! A cry from nearby. What is it? What did you find? The captain makes his way towards the soldiers. A knife, sir. It was lying in a puddle over there. A knife? It was quite a ways away from any of the bodies. We think it might have been dropped by the redcoat. And what were you doing, searching away from the bodies? God damn it. Well? Taking a leak, sir. The captain gives McTavish a look of contempt before snatching the knife. Wait a minute. Their boss loses his composure for a moment. Sir? The men stare at the blade in silence. Right. Pocketing the knife, the captain turns and looks into the distance. Good find. We should have everything we need. Everything? You mean we're finished? There's a path down that way, through the hills. I think our redcoat friend might have gone through there. The captain smirks as he says this. Gather the men. We're heading south, over the hills. We're moving out already, sir? Did I stutter? No, sir. The leader slowly paces away, not saying anything more. Come on, let's tell the others. Is he alright? The captain, I mean. What are you talking about? Well, just then, he had this look. What are you saying? A few moments pass between them, as Daniel stares off. It's nothing. Alright, it's the partner. Aubrey's like former partner in crime or something. Who's the captain? Oh wait, wasn't he an Indian person? A native one? Or was he? I already forgot the story he told just like what? An hour and a half ago? Alright, come on, let's move out. Resigned to their orders, the soldiers rally, ready to move south. We wander through the empty plains of Michigan Territory. Long fields of brown and yellowing grass are whooped about by the wind. The autumnal breeze gives off a strong chill, and I button up my coat in an effort to stay warm. Maya seems unperturbed by the cold, still wearing her summer garments. Aren't you cold like that? Why, it's only a light wind. Well, when you're cold, all you need to do is keep walking and it'll warm you up. I don't appreciate the enthusiasm. Do you ever enjoy yourself? Not when I'm being tracked by Yankee forces, no. You should live in the moment more. I thought I was. You're too worried about what will happen or what has been. You should take life as it comes and cherish it. Fanciful words for a 12-year-old. I suppose it all seems much easier from a child's perspective. They're not my words. My father always told me that we Shawnee are part of these lands. The sky, the wind, the earth, we are all linked to them. Everything we do is tied to this fact. Maya gently runs her fingers through the awkward blades of grass. So we should take only from the land what we must. We should only live as we must, and in doing so, feel truly alive. I suppose your father was the soldier. He would have had the positivity beaten out of him. He waged war and fought many times under a blue jacket. He often told me, when there is hardship, we must hold our heads high and live within each other's breath. What a silly idea. He can tell you himself when you meet him. What makes you think I want to talk to your father about such things? You seem like you'd get along with him. You're both alike. Great, I'm being compared to an Indian. You don't want to meet him? You don't want to meet? She pulls a solid expression. Maybe I said too much. Reaching my hand out, I ruffle her hair, giving the girl a gentle pat on the head. I said I'd stick with you until we reach your village, so it's not like I can avoid meeting your family. What an awkward thing to say. Aubrey. Then Mike begins to smile. The things I do to keep this child happy. Suddenly a small creature dashes past along the path ahead. A rabbit! I try to prime my musket, but the gun slips about in my arms and falls to the ground with a clatter. Damn it! The rabbit darts quickly into the long grass, too fast for me to take aim. Bending go, I pick up my brown bess, but it's too late. I can't get a good shot like this. Over there, he ran that way. My pulls a cheeky grin and starts on the path ahead. That's not how you chase rabbits, just prancing while holding your skirt and stuff like that. It's a prancing image, not a... Come on, run! Ma begins to dash ahead through the field, chasing after the rabbit. Hey, wait up! You say we're cold, so start running. Ma grabs my hand and pulls me along. Her energy takes me by surprise as I'm dragged up through the golden fields. Soon enough, we pick up pace as I start moving my feet. Jerking this way and that, we slip off the beaten track and into the long grass. The small rabbit squeaks as it desperately clambers away. But the girl is not hot on its tail, not letting the poor thing out of her keen sight. Dashing over stumps and bumps into the path, my feet almost slip out from underneath me. Maya laughs as we run, calling out after the rabbit. Okay, she's petakinethi, rabbit. Is this what she means by living in the moment? Feeling the wind on her face, the long grass whipping at our heels, we both persist at the little creature tries to hide in the tawny fields. Tall, fluffy ears stick out amongst the yellowing grasslands as it hops to and fro. I let go of Maya's hand and let my musket slip down off my shoulder. Keep chasing and lead that back around this way. I'll make ready and shoot the thing. I shout after the girl, who continues to run around after our supper. If she can confuse the animal, it might head back my way and make for an easy shot. I ready my brown bess for action. Drawing a cartridge from my belt, I bite the end off and pull the hammer to the half-cock. Then pouring the powder into the priming pan, I trip it with the frizzen. Do you have dry powder? Letting the butt almost hit the ground, I pour the rest of the powder into the muzzle. Then I shove in the musket ball along with what's left of the cartridge paper, wadding them inside. Using the ramrod, I quickly start ramming the wadding down to the breech of the barrel. There! Returning the ramrod to its proper place, I make ready and aim. But the rabbit doesn't appear to be coming back in this direction. Slowly, Mai begins to disappear further down the plains and out of sight as she chases the thing. Hey, Mai! I shout after the girl who grows smaller and smaller. Mai, get back here! Maybe she's too caught up in the chase. At least she's heading in the right direction. I begin to walk, following after the Shawnee child and my dinner. That night, we make a camp in woodland clearing. An obscure, out-of-the-way place where we won't be found. High above the moon shines bright, illuminating the wisps of cloud before it. As we set up camp, Maya went out foraging while I gathered firewood. She knows the plants and berries better than I do. If it was left to me, we'd probably have food poisoning for days. The fire flickers gently and casts ominous shadows in the tree line. Golden embers glow as sparks are kicked up into the air. As they float past, they call to mind dancing fireflies in the midsummer evenings. Over the smoldering pit, our dinner slowly roasts. Not only did Mai catch our main dish, but she also provided the rest of the meal. I'll admit it's shameful to be outdone by a native brat. It smells good. What'd you use for seasoning? Some crushed lavender and a few other plants from nearby. Skewered the rabbit with wild berries and herbs. It beat dry biscuits and rum rations in any case. Speaking of which, I still have a few drops of the stuff he left. Reaching into my red coat, I pull out my canteen and take a swig. The rich and potent flavor puts me at ease after our day's journey. Swilling the drink around my mouth, I throw my head back and swallow. In time, I'll be enjoying the warm afterglow as I sleep. The thought makes me smile. I soon notice Mai watching me. What, wanna try some? What is it? Rum. Have you ever had liquor before? She shakes her head. It's funny. At her age I was drinking and smoking whatever I could get my hands on. Just as well. I hear you people get hooked on this stuff. Hey. Just kidding, ease up. I hold the canteen out to her. Well, want some? Mai shakily reaches across and takes the flask. It's a good thing I'm not a father. You giving young girls alcohol isn't exactly a smart thing to do. No, it isn't. Well, it's only a small amount. Nervously, she looks up at me with large eyes. How much should I have? There's not much left. At your age, just a mouthful should do. That's a lot. Like rum, that's a pretty potent alcohol as well. Looking back down at the canteen, the apprehension doesn't leave her face. Okay. She holds the mouth of the bottle to her nose and takes a whiff. A look of displeasure spreads across her face, and she makes a whimpering sound like a dog. Don't force yourself. It's okay. I'll be okay. Tilting the bottle, Maya begins to drink. I'm pretty sure the first time I had alcohol was also at 12, 13, 11 maybe, something like that. But it was just beer. I think it was like beer that was brewed by the person instead of like from somewhere. Because it came from like a keg, an actual fucking keg, instead of like in a bottle or anything like that. So I don't know, I don't remember. But anyway, it was whatever. I don't remember much of it at all. It was just a drink. First time having this poison. But anyway, it's fine. Not really, but whatever. She keeps going, glugging back what's left of the rum. Look at you go. That's the stuff. I'm impressed, she's really going for it. Almost drinking to the last drop, Maya eventually lets the canteen fall from her lips. Well, how was it? It's fucking poison, so it's disgusting. A bright smell works its way across her face. You like it? It has a strange taste at first, but it makes me feel warm inside. Yeah, that's how it gets you. I take the flask out of her hands. Swirling it around, I work out that there's still a mouthful or two left. Better save it until I really need it. Tightening the cap on the canteen, I stored it with my things. Don't tell your elders I'll let you have any. The last thing I want is to be chased out of your village for getting you drunk. Hick. Maya hiccups loudly. Did you just... No, I didn't. Her face turns a bright shade of crimson. She starts to hiccup continuously. I guess the drink went down the wrong way. Don't worry about it. I'm sitting beside Mai, I start gently rubbing her back. Get it all out. I used to get them all the time when I was younger. You build up a tolerance for it eventually. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't... It's been a very long time since I've had hiccups myself. I guess your body kind of does develop. Sort of tolerance, or like You just subconsciously know what to do to not get hiccups or something like that. I don't fucking know. That's weird. But yeah, I don't... Yeah, it's actually... interesting. Interesting. Hadn't thought about that at all. But it has literally probably been years since I've had hiccups. As I massage the girl's back, it dawns on me how small her frame really is. The spine of my hand almost reaches all the way across, from shoulder to shoulder. Soon enough, she brings her breathing back under control and the hiccups stop. Better? Yes, thank you. I get up and sit back down opposite her. Anyway, the rabbit's almost cooked. What say we start eating? Okay. Reaching over, I poke at the skewered rabbit with Maya's knife and check the color. The meat looks pretty much done. Cutting off a piece, I pop some of the rabbit in my mouth. Ah, hot! Yeah, no shit. My tongue is slowly burned as I desperately move the meat around in my mouth. The heat sears through my gums and makes me pull stupid faces. Good job. Water! I indicate for water. My scrambles around eventually hands me a canteen. Popping off the lid, I desperately glug down what's left of the liquid. Swallowing back the meat, my throat burns as I realize what I'm drinking. Oh yeah, alright, oops. Yeah, not a great idea. That's the last of my rum! She didn't hand me a flask of water. Instead, it was my rum rations. Sorry. Damn it. I wiped my chin and prodded my tongue with my index finger. My mouth is going to feel coarse for a few hours. Taking our dinner off the spit, I let it cool for a few moments over a nearby stone. Another slice falls over our camp. Silence falls over our camp. Bloody hell. I remember coming this way once, many years ago. Until Maya starts talking again. We camp not far from here, closer to a river. If we can find our way to that river, we can follow it through the woods. So how much longer until we reach your village? If we leave early, we should arrive by tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, huh? Only another day and I'll be finished with this girl. No more dumb conversations, no more Shawnee nonsense. Free at last to be alone and lonely. Hey, I've been wondering for a while now. How did you escape the American forces when you were captured? I mean, what happened during those months? Mine gives me a blank look. Why do you ask? Well, could be that you're interested. Idiot, I never said anything like that. Then I guess I won't tell you. Hey, now wait a minute. I want to hear you say it. This child's playing games with me. Fine. I'm interested in your story, okay? That wasn't so hard, was it? Damn brat. So, what happened? When I was captured, they took me to a place called Fort Stephenson and kept me there for many months. Fort Stephenson, that's to the east, on the Sandusky River. I was made to carry out small tasks for the Americans. They wanted me to be useful, so I gave medicine to the sick and helped cook for them. At first they planned to send me on with the others and move us to the south, but when the British attacked, the Americans decided to take us with them. There was a battle there under Proctor in the summer. We had no part in it, but we were committed to similar sieges, at Fort Meigs and Frenchtown earlier in the year. So Ma was at Fort Stephenson during the siege. I was kept there for another month. We started moving north after 2 weeks ago, as the English were on the retreat. As we reached Fort Shelby, I managed to break my bonds and escape. That's it. There's not much else to say. I was fed well, and they didn't want to sell me or anything. I think they thought me too young to be worth much. Well, it's not very likely that she'd be sold off in the Northern Territory anyway. One of the soldiers at Fort Stephenson used to play a small flute late at night. He would ask me to stay up with him on watch. He taught me to sing songs he knew and poems. Sometimes he asked me to dance too. And you did? Well, eventually. I'm not very good at it. I can imagine. He'd give me chocolates sometimes. The sutler as well would sneak me rations. Sutler? They were nice people. That's a bit unusual. Why? Why? I just didn't expect Yankees to be that way. I don't really expect it of anyone. Who wastes rations on a little brat, no matter if she's cute? There's kindness in strange places. I saw it in your expression when we first met. When we met? Even though you pointed a musket at me, I knew you wouldn't fire. There was too much kindness in your eyes. What? Well, load of nonsense. Well, you read me completely wrong. I'm not a kind person.
Yes, you are.
So that's why she didn't budge when my bayonet was pointed at her chest. She saw kindness in my expression. I could have fired my musket, you know. I could have done it, but he didn't. I smiles gently. Here, shut up and try some rabbit. I tear off another section of meat and pass it to the girl. It should cool down a little by now. Maya nibbles at the dish and slowly breaks into a smile. Hey, don't talk with your mouth full. She makes happy noises as she chews her meal. Swallowing her bite, she reiterates her point. It's good. I could guess that much. Her elders better treat me to something good when I can't reach their village. I look up at the heavens, those twinkling stars circling above. It's clear night, save for a few wisps of cloud, and we can see many different constellations. There's the Plough, Orion's Belt, the Two Bears, or were there three? Stretching out in a vast arc, through the center of the sky is the Milky Way. One Irish lad in this regiment used to call it the Fair Cow's Bath. The silence and the shining stars above put my weary heart at rest. Wait for me. Then, rather unexpectedly, Maya begins to sing a small tune. Wait for me. What are you doing? I interrupt her. It's a ditty. A ditty? The soldier that fought Stevenson taught it to me. I see. Maya begins her song again. Wait for me, my love, in that peaceful place we all hope for. She continues to sing the gentle Yankee tune. As she progresses through the bars, the story unfolds. A tale of a soldier off to war, his childhood love left behind on some old farm. He asks her to wait for him to return victorious. But the war stretches on and he never comes home. She thinks him dead and cannot bear it. Other men attempt to woo her and she thinks of moving on. But still, the soldier in his heart implores her to wait. A bit of a sad tale. Wait for me. Please wait for me. Funny, I had never had a sweetheart. I was too busy struggling and carrying out petty crimes. After all, it's a silly thing to be a soldier and in love. Too much grief, too much waiting. And who would want to weep for someone like me? Eventually, Maya begins to hum instead, probably having forgotten the words. Maybe there's a boy she likes, back at her village. A dashing young Shawnee lad that climbs trees with her and paddles in canoes. One of her own, someone that can do right by her, as far as a native can. Tomorrow, perhaps, they will be reunited. Shaking my head, I chew on some more rabbit meat and lean back. As our fire burns brightly in the darkness, together we both watch the cosmos. Meanwhile, several miles north, which is not very far away, it's only like a couple hours of walking. It's very close. In the plains of the northwest, the bluecoats continue to march in the darkness. They move on ahead, tracking their prey, hoping to find some kind of sign. Keep moving, scum! Oh, come on, you don't need to insult your soldiers. The captain shouts at his men, trying to pick up the pace. Hey, captain, what say we rest up for the night? We've been marching since dawn, sir. Quit your belly aching. We're on a hunt here. With a mad glint in his eye, their leader treads on, undeterred. So much for making camp. Hey, do you reckon... What? Don't you think the captain... Well, he's too determined? Determined? I mean, how many miles have we watched now? We're moving not too far from the front here. Daniels watches after their Spiria as he powers on through the grasslands. Well, he really does hate redcoats. But don't you think... You two! The captain spots them chatting and relays a punishment. Quick march, now! Yes, sir. Is he crazy? Shut your mouth and march. Watching after their own hides, the two soldiers stride onwards, ahead of the pack. Bastard. Total bastard. He is an officer. So yes, he is. Aubrey, back at the dream. A voice echoes, the same voice from before. Aubrey. Slowly I return to that dream. The beautiful woman ran as the monster slowly followed. Her feet trampled through the grasslands and the forests. When she came to the edge of the woodland, she discovered why it was forbidden. Long stretches of dead skin lay in the dirt. This place was a nest for serpents, and she was to be their prey. Crying in fright, The woman heard the hissing behind her and started running again. Over hill and over plain, she sprinted, desperate to get away. Her legs moved quickly at first, then as she thought about her good man, his kindness, his abilities, she slowed. Her mind argued with her heart. How could she run away from such a beautiful and goodly man? Eventually she found she had lost the base somewhere behind her. Coming to a halt, desperate to catch her breath, the girl sat down to rest. She was tired and decided to close her eyes and pray. On the hillock, she remained in silence, slowly feeling the energy leave her body. And there she had a dream. A quiet dream. In that moment, a giant bird appeared, a holy being, its wings spanning across the heavens. Its talons cut through the hillside. The thunder spirit called to her, and the deep, rolling voice was deafening. "Run! Run! Run!" The girl jumped up with her hands over her ears as the great voice echoed across the land. "The snake man is behind you! He shall catch you!" The mythical bird pointed the way for her as a silent guardian. Then the beautiful woman ran, with the fear of her soul pounding in her head. She heard the terrible rustling of the serpent man. He was coming closer, that great, evil snake. She ran until she had crossed the mountains and soon came to a lake near her old home. The same one she had spent many days beside, staring at her own reflection. Each footstep brought her closer and closer to home. The snake man was still slithering after her, gaining with every mile. Soon the woman reached her village, but found it abandoned. She had no home left. The monster was near, and she felt him breathing at the back of her neck. Dashing through the village, she circled around and back towards the lake. There, sitting by the water's edge, was an old wooden spear. Hearing the beast's jaws snapping open, the woman grabbed the weapon in her hands. With all her might, she threw it at the serpent. In an instant, the spear pierced the snake's body, tearing open the scaly skin. The creature hissed in pain and fell to the ground with an enormous thud. All at once, a roaring black cloud surrounded the woman. Her vision went hazy as all disappeared around her. She thought that she should carry on. She must not look back at the beast. And yet, she could not stop herself from turning around. The girl looked back at the giant serpent and saw that he had transformed into the man she loved. Only now he had been mortally wounded. The spear was plunged deep into his chest and he bled onto the hard ground. The woman ran to him, full of desperation. "What have you done? Why kill me when you know how I love you?" The man asked, choking in pain. "I only ever wanted you to stay by my side. Why? Why do this?" The woman had no answer. The man slowly faded away into the earth, leaving no trace. Not knowing what else to do, the beautiful girl simply wept. She was completely heartbroken. The girl had killed the only man she had ever loved. When she saw her reflection in the water, she realized that her beauty had left her. The woman standing back at her was haggard and miserable. Her skin grew wrinkled, her hair as white as ash. There were no more kind men with gifts. There were no more mysterious men with piercing eyes. As the years passed, the girl grew old and tired. She now warns other young people to look into the heart for beauty. We must not be deceived by what we see on the surface. For the day the serpent's heart was pierced, her heart was pierced as well. We must look into the heart for beauty. Is this the meaning? The reason for these haunting visions, these dreams, these empty thoughts? Aubrey, what is it you want? Why do you torture me with these dreams? Am I truly cursed? Must I wander alone, full of doubt, plagued by vague morals? You must look to the heart for beauty. Must I? That is all where it all begins. The heart is... The voice begins to fade once more. Wait, I beg aloud. But the vision dissolves into emptiness once again. I feel the darkness of slumber pulling me down into worlds anew. Wakey wakey. Look into the heart for beauty. That is where it all begins. The next day, we pack up early and continue our journey. We stroll through the vast woodland of the Northwest Territory. It's hard to know where we are right now. Whether we've crossed the border out of Michigan Territory into Ohio or even over into Indiana lands, I'm just relying on Mai's sense of direction as we journey towards her village. She gets a gut feeling every mile or so and we keep going. We've also been following the river for the past few hours as a marker. But even then, we lose sight of it when we stop every few minutes and change directions. Just where's this girl going? Hey, Aubrey. What is it? Do you believe in heaven? More dumb questions. Where'd that come from? Last night, when we were looking up at the stars, I was wondering about heaven. You probably shouldn't be worrying about it at your age. I try to trample my way through the thick undergrowth. Maya simply stares back at me, waiting for an answer. I don't know. I don't know if I believe in heaven. I push some thick branches out of my face as I idly answer her. You're not Christian? No, I'm a Christian. I was baptized as one anyway. But you don't believe in heaven? It's not that I don't believe in it. I just don't see the point in hoping for it. I used to be a believer, but it's not something I've really had time to think about lately. Is there heaven? Is there original sin? Does God test us? I guess answering dumb questions like this can be considered some kind of penance. I see. How about you? Do Shawnee believe in heaven? We come to a halt in the clearing. She begins to smile. Mai? Look, there. What is it? Reaching down into the dirt, Mai picks up a brightly colored bead. Wampum! She holds it in her open palm and thrusts it in my face. What? It's a wampum bead. A bead? Inspecting closer, it appears to be a small stone or shell. And what's so special about it? My village uses wampum. It's something she recognizes. Perhaps we're getting closer. And there, look! Mai rushes on ahead and I follow after her. As we continue on, we pass small brown huts in the woodland. The strange shacks are painted with colorful icons and imagery. Mai? These wiccums. I recognize them. Wickwums? We're on the outskirts of my village. You mean we made it? Mai rushes off a second time. Mai! I think I can hear people. That's not always a good thing. Niga nota, mother father. Following after the girl, I begin to see the edge of the tree line. As we pass more and more of the brown huts, I notice they're completely empty. No inhabitants or possessions. We soon make our way out of the brush and into an open area. This must be it. This is Mai's village. But there's something very wrong here. An eerie quiet hangs over the area. I stand stock still, not moving an inch. Set on a rocky hill above a nearby lake, the village has been completely abandoned. In the distance, the steep hills are devoid of any sign of human activity. There are no fishermen, no canoes, no woodsmen, no families. The Indian girl turns to me with an anxious face. I don't understand. Pots lie smashed in the mud, basic furniture is upturned and broken. The ashes from the burnt out fire pit are blown about the dirt ground, covering old footprints in a layer of soot. This place has been empty for a while. Mai? How many months had Mai been in captivity? How long ago did her tribe live here, by this lake? The tanned young girl runs ahead, desperately searching for any signs of life. Mother, father! Calling in at the doorways of the small huts, Mai checks inside each one. No komtha, nime somtha, grandmother, grandfather. I can't understand the Shawnee she speaks, but I can hear the distress in her voice. She's shouting for her loved ones, for her family and her friends. Wizzy, pewa, pewa. Doggy, come here, boy. After much shouting and running, she returns to my side. I don't understand. Mai looks around her, not somewhere to rest her gaze. Aubrey. Aubrey. What? I snap at her. Where are they? Where are my family? How the hell should I know? Perhaps the Bluecoats showed up and forced them to move. Maybe they were all massacred during that battle. Or it could be that they were all recruited to join another tribe to the south. There aren't any bodies, at least. no wounded or dead. The place is simply an abandoned ghost town. They must have left some time ago. We have to find them. What are you going on about? We have to look. We have to find my family. And how are we supposed to do that? There's no gold here, no furs, no food. Nobody to trade with, and nothing to trade on. They could be hiding, in case the Americans come back. Or they're at the next village. They can't have gone far. Stop it. I don't want to hear it. Aubrey, we have to look for them. They're waiting for me to come home. We can't leave them. I said stop it. My shout echoes across the rippling waters of the lake. Aubrey. All this we stuff. I can't bring back your tribe. I got you to your village. Isn't that enough? I can't do anything like that. Gradually, Maya's expression of panic falls from her face. It is replaced by a resigned, pitiful look. But my family... I think of holding my tongue, sparing her any more harsh words, but she kinda does need to hear it though. Something needs to be said though. I don't think they're coming back, Maya. The girl goes quiet, unable to answer back. There's nothing more we can do here. Maya and I look around the empty hamlet, at the destroyed possessions. This place was abandoned for good. I'm sorry. The child apologizes. Then she turns and walks off towards the nearby forest. Mai! I call to her, but she doesn't respond. Don't go too far. Stay near the village. The Shawnee girl disappears into the brush of the woodland and out of sight. She needs time alone, to recuperate and reflect. I look up to the clear blue skies above as a gentle breeze blows. Damn it! The Shawnee child wanders through the forest, her cheeks stained with tears. Mother, father... She softly whimpers, crying for her loved ones. Are they now lost to her? Are they gone forever? Sister... What can she do to find them again? Where is it that they have gone? As these questions race around in her head, the child tries to calm down. Eventually, she comes to a stop in a clearing. Rubbing her eyes, Maya tries to wipe away the teardrops. While she cools off, she watches the leaves dancing in the breeze. It's quiet. Today is exceptionally warm for autumn, yet there are no gnats or flies at this time of year. In the distance, there's the sound of gentle waves rippling at the lake shore. The birds continue to call to one another from the treetops. Rodents in the undergrowth hide in their burrows. Maya sniffs, trying to unblock her nose. Aubrey. Did he hate her now that they had arrived? He wanted to trade with her family and leave for the south. Would he abandon her now that she was of no use to him? No. She hated the idea, but she had a suspicion it might be all true. Then, should she just run away? By herself? She would be alone again, wandering the plains, without a friend in the world. From nearby comes the sound of rustling. Wiping her eyes with her hands, Maya stops and listens. It's the captain and his men. Was Aubrey coming to find her? There are footsteps close at hand and the voices of men, but she does not recognize them. There are strange men wandering these woods. Maya thinks on her feet and quickly darts for cover in the tree line. Hiding behind a nearby pine, the girl waits in silence. Two blue-coat soldiers emerge out of the brush, both carrying rifles. Was it this way? What are you talking about? I thought I heard something. You're imagining things. Keep moving. We're almost there. A third Yankee soldier arrives beside them. He's around here somewhere. I can sense it. How can you tell? I'm a tracker. It's what I do. The group of bluecoats heads through the clearing. Unaware, they miss Maya completely. Her heartbeat slows as the men trudge in the wilderness. Just you wait. You'll see. They begin to move out of sight and into the woods. The girl sighs in relief as they pass her. Hold up. What is it? The captain stops and looks around the area. There's someone here. The group ready their rifles and watch behind them. It's an Indian girl. An Indian girl? Maya dashes out of her hiding spot and tries to head towards the village. Aubrey! She calls aloud. The captain reaches out and grabs Maya as she runs past. Gotcha, you dirty little squall. Maya desperately struggles, hitting out at the blue coat.
Let go of me!
He tries to pin her down, but she lashes out fiercely. She rips at his uniform, kicking and scratching. Stop it, you little whore! He violently throws the girl to the forest floor. Before she can get up, the captain points a flintlock pistol at her. Stay right there. Maya glares up at him. What did you say? Did you say Aubrey? The child stays silent, refusing to respond. So it really is him. Captain, what's going on? You're not going anywhere, my dear. You two, tie her up and watch over her. What do you want us to do with an Indian kid? She's the one this redcoat is traveling with. It's fate after all. The captain looks about him and sights brown nuts in the tree line. There's a village up ahead. He must be hiding out there. The two raiders look at one another, concerned. Captain, there's something you should know. Some of the men and I are beginning to wonder if... Well, what? Well, if you're maybe taking this a bit far. A bit far? Chasing the redcoats is one thing, but we're far south here. We've been marching on empty bellies for days now. You haven't slept and all because of this one bastard we're hunting. The soldier hangs back as the captain faces him menacingly. What are you saying, Daniels? Well, sir, what he's saying is, spit it out. The soldier nervously makes his point. You've never been this mad about chasing down Brits before. Hey, watch it. The captain's expression turns dark. Mad? Did you just say I was mad? No, Captain, I didn't mean it like that. It's just, why are we going to all this trouble for one redcoat? Who are you calling mad, Daniels? You need to sleep, sir. You need rest. He's just hungry, sir, that's all. Mad. Sir, I'll show you bloody mad. In a flash, the captain pulls out his pistol and shoots the soldier. Okay, he is just straight up mad. Okay, he's typical villain. Okay. Jesus Christ! The raider collapses to the ground, bleeding out of his chest. Yeah, the captain, you should sleep, man. You really should sleep. You're not making any rational decisions now. Like, at all. You just shot one of your soldiers. Like, that's absolutely irrational. I won't have insubordination in my ranks. McTavish comes to Daniel's side, checking the wound. But the soldier lies unconscious, in shock. Captain, what the hell are you doing? You are to obey my orders. With a maniacal glint in his eye, the captain turns and walks away. I'm going to end this thing once and for all. Watch the girl and deal with the body. He trips us off into the woods, out of sight. The soldier looks down at the corpse of his friend. Shit, what the hell is going on? Taking a slow breath, McTavish catches the girl's eye. Don't move an inch. Cocking his rifle, he stands and aims at her head. Bastard. Damn bastard. The climax. Sitting in the empty village, I prod at the ashes of the fire pit with a crooked stick. My. Her family's gone. Who knows where they migrated to from here. They could have journeyed up north to join Tecumseh and fight. They might have wandered southwest to settle in unclaimed territory. Or an American unit might have passed through and exterminated them. The village is somewhat intact though. There are no signs of theft or anything being razed to the ground. Perhaps they were forced to resettle or blackmailed into it. Maya did say the British were trying to extort the Brat tribe by stealing their Mishami. I hear someone emerging from the brush behind me. Have you calmed down a bit now? I say without turning around, but receive no reply. We'll work out what to do next, okay? But wherever they're gone to, I'm sure we can work it out. She doesn't reply. Come over here. I pat the dirt beside me, but the girl doesn't appear at my side. My? Looking around, I'm confronted by an unusual sight. Someone I never thought I'd see again. Hi. He's gone completely crazy. Sleep deprived. An imposing figure steps out from the brush. My eyes slowly adjust to the scene. The long blonde hair hangs down behind, tied tight in a ponytail. His blue coat stands out against the backdrop of the village and the greenery of the front tree line. A scar cuts through the right brow and across his eyelid. Carrying a flintlock pistol, the character stops in front of me. "Hello there, Will." It's my old partner, my criminal friend from long ago. Jackson! In the flesh. But I thought... What? That you shot me? That you left me to die in those woods? You think I'd be taken out by something like that? I don't know what to say. How can he still be alive? And here, in an enemy uniform? None of this makes sense. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to be you. What are you doing here? I'm here for you, partner. For me, what are you... Where's the girl you're traveling with? The girl? It dawns on me. Mai's somewhere nearby, and Jackson knows she's here. She's a cute little Injun. I never took you for a redskin. I'm no redskin. Not the way you are. Wherever you are, Mai, please hide. Get yourself to safety. Don't let Jackson find you. I'm not the one dragging a prairie squaw all around. Jackson grins a wicked grin, taking a few steps towards me. You're all the same, you Injun lovers. White on the outside, red on the inside. I mean, everyone's red on the inside, we all bleed blood. It's the same thing. You find yourself a native girl, pump out a few half-breeds and leave them to die in the woods. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, but I think you do. Truth is, I've been tracking you for days now. Digging out your fire pits, eating your leftovers, smelling your dung. Okay, come on, Jackson, you just got completely crazy. He's been following us. Since when? Since the battle at the Thames River? Since Detroit? Out of the two of us, I was always a better hunter. You were born too well, too educated to cover your tracks. Mai, where are you? I was doing that little a favor, putting her out like that. What? Oh, he's lying now as well. Interesting. You were going to shoot her or sell her when you were finished anyway. I know you. You always used to treat your women bad. Mai. Where is she? Is she? Why do you care about some brat? She'll be better off without you. No, Mai, I mean, it's his daughter now. Come on now. Slowly, I reach for a musket lying nearby. Not so fast. Jackson raises his pistol and points it straight at my heart. Put it down and step away. Okay, just relax. I carefully take my hands off my brown vest and back away, holding my hands up. You always were an impulsive fool. Didn't know a thing about living. I had to teach you every single trick. Shooting, hunting, fighting. I mean, you couldn't even kill me right. What do you want from me? Want? You still don't get it? If you're gonna shoot me, then just do it. I don't need the speeches. Jackson pulls an uncomfortable expression and grinds his teeth. 10 years. 10 damn years. It didn't mean a thing to you. That's not true. You got greedy. You got cold feet. And when you couldn't take it anymore, you stole it all and shot me. No. You left me stranded by the wayside with a bullet in my shoulder. Me, your only friend in those woods. The things we did, the people we killed. There's a wavering in his voice, a quiver of loneliness. A stupid English kid alone in New Republic, living day to day with our friend in the world. But the loneliness soon disappears, replaced by the usual grit and mistrust. Looking back on it, I was a fool to ever trust you. You were too good for it, too good for the money. Did you ever once fight for anything meaningful? Flying the flag of a country you can't remember? Shooting men once you once trusted? Did you ever think you could find peace that way? I know you better than that. You'll never find any peace as you are. All you're good for is running away. Prodding the barrel of his pistol into my jugular, Jackson smirks. Well, you can't run anymore. I've got my own little army now, and I spend all day shooting English pricks like you. You hunt down deserters, right? Lost redcoats. You're part of a raiding party, out to hack down anyone you find. That's no army. I got medals for jobs like this. And once this war's over, it'll be a plot of land and pockets full of coin too. Sounds pretty fine to me. What? Sending men home in pine boxes? You must be joking. There are no funerals for deserters like you. With a menacing smirk, Jackson points his flintlock squarely at my chest. Anyway, I've never been one for dragging out an execution. This is it. It's over, Aubrey. You lost this one. I'm really going to die here. I close my eyes in anticipation. Slowly, seconds tick away and I accept my fate. But, I'm sorry I couldn't help you. Jackson fires, but there was a clash of metal earlier. But something about the shot sounds off. I don't feel the pierce of a round or the searing pain of torn muscle, nor broken bones or blood. I open my eyes. Looking about me, I find I'm completely unharmed. A stone bounces off of Jackson's pistol, which falls to the ground with a clatter. Oh, nice. What the? That was a good throw. I look to the nearby forest and see Mai standing there with a rock in her hand. She made him miss. Her stone must have knocked his pistol out of the way, and McTavish couldn't be bothered to take this Indian kid, because Jackson's clearly gone insane. You can't follow a guy like this. He's literally gonna get a death sentence. You stupid brat! She's alive! I was hoping to let her live and sell her off at some outpost. You bastard! From the tree line, Mai throws another stone which smashes against Jackson's right arm. Ah! That bloody hurt, damn it! That does it. I'm going to strangle that dirty squall. Another rock flies out our direction and we both duck out of the way. Taking my chance, I dash forward and grab my musket as Jackson scrambles for his pistol. No! No! Taking hold of my brown vest, I run for the woods as my foe desperately tries to reload. Mai throws another stone at Jackson as I grab her hand. Get back here, you scum! Running through the tree line, we both head for safe ground. I pull Mai along with me as we disappear deeper and deeper into the forest. Jackson chases not far behind, calling out to the girl. Come back here, you spready squall! He fires his pistol after us, blowing chunks out of the trees. Bastard! We duck and dodge this way and that, avoiding the gunfire. Passing through the foliage, we're cut up by branches and brambles as we run. Come on, we have to keep going. Mai pants and struggles to keep up. I practically drag her through the undergrowth at my pace. Keeping the lake on our right side, we keep moving. Bits of wood and leaf fly around us every time Jackson gets off a shot. Come back here! Beams of light are opened up in the canopy above us as he misses. Soon we leave the village behind and make our way deep into the forest. The girl's little red boots dig into the dirt as we run. She won't be able to go on much longer. Eventually we come to a halt in a clearing. The American is quite a way back, but he's closing in fast. Catching my breath, I try to come up with a plan. If we keep heading south, we can make our way around the lake and out west. We can lose him over the hills and aim for the coast. After that, we'll try to find your family. Taking hold of Mai's hand again, I start walking. But Mai resists. What is it? What are you doing?
We should split up.
Split up? What are you talking about?
He'll continue to chase us, even if we run away. He won't stop following us until we're dead.
Then what do you propose we do?
I'll distract him.
Distract him?
You try to shoot him before he can catch me.
And before I can say anything more, Mai runs off back towards Jackson's line of sight. Wait a minute, Mai! But she's gone.
Damn it!
Hearing a rustling behind me, I act fast. Doubling back around, I hop over a nearby shrub and into the undergrowth. Jackson appears soon after. Firing his flintlock pistol into this clearing, the rogue desperately searches for the Indian girl.
Bloody redcoat! Bloody squall! Where are you both?
Finding nothing, he advances back into the forest. I wait for Jackson to move out of sight before I begin to follow. Crawling through the undergrowth, I come to the edge of a clearing. The bluecoat continues to fire rounds after the girl. Come back here! Further along the tree line, I dig myself in behind an old trunk and prime my musket. He's getting off 4 shots per minute. Biting the twisted end of the cartridge, I spit out the paper. Then I pull back the hammer to half-cock and chuck in the powder. That gives me 15 seconds to kill the stupid bastard. From peering from behind the tree, I watch as Jackson advances to the east. Following his line of sight, I find Mai darting from cover to cover. Has he seen her yet? Closing the open prison, I shove in the rest of the powder, the musket ball and paper. Come on! Drawing the ramrod, I ram the wadding down to the breach and return. Finally! I've only got one shot at this before I give away my position. There you are, you filthy redskin! It sounds like the girl has started her distraction. I made it ready with my brown bess, but find the blue coats disappeared out of sight. Following Jackson's voice, I notice him pacing 20 yards away with his back to me. Slowly, I creep ahead through the brush and see Mai far ahead, now up on a branch. Carefully, the girl hops from tree to tree as leaves scatter around her. Holes are blown in the canopy as Jackson fires shot after shot at her. I found you, you little brat! The tan girl leaps from branch to branch, desperately trying to avoid the pistol shots. Jackson smirks as he hunts his prey. Wait until I show Aubrey I call a wild tree squaw. Pacing through the woods, he laughs like a lunatic. The girl is nimble as she hops around, but she's not fast enough to avoid the gunshots. You're mine now! He's toying with her, making her dart this way and that. Splintered bark rains down from above as he shoots into the treetops, forcing her to jump. I almost call out to to distract Jackson, but hold my tongue. This is my chance. Moving into position, out of sight behind the bush, I make ready again and present. Jackson takes a shot and Mai leaps down out of sight into the forest ahead. With his back to me, the bluecoat stumbles to reload. Aiming down the sights, I already steady myself and focus on Jackson. Hey, Pillock! Slowly he turns to face me. With a mad glint in his eye, the turncoat looks ready to charge. Before he can react properly, my shot goes clean through his chest. Black smoke and sparks fly up in my face as I'm hit by the musket's recoil. No! It can't be! Jackson's body crumples forward and he falls to the ground. The leaves blow up and dance as soon as his figure hits the forest floor. His pale face smashes into the mud and in time, he slowly stops moving. I hold my position for a few moments before letting the butt of my musket hit the dirt. Eventually, my breathing returns along with my hearing. I suck the fresh air into my lungs and my heart rate begins to drop. I did it. I'm honestly shocked neither Aubrey nor Mai got injured in this. I was expecting that, honestly. But, okay. A nice, clean, happy ending. Sort of. Well, I mean, they still have to, continue their lives in this war-torn world, but still, for the story that we're here for. I shot the bastard. Looking down at his corpse, I nudge him with my foot. He's not breathing anymore. It's over. It's finally over. This is what he hoped for. It was me or him, just like he wanted it. I don't think he was expecting this outcome, though. He chose his side as I was pressed into mine, and yet he dies without finding his liberty. His pursuit of happiness caused misery for many, and still he marched with honorable men. Good riddance. But what about me? What am I to do? You are to become a dad. Okay, dude, that's your future here. Go and be a dad. Think, whatever. Mai's family are gone now, but in time she'll find her tribe. That leaves me alone, wandering in an unfriendly world. I have no love for my king, I have no love for the Republic. Jackson was right about one thing. I was always a countryman without a country. A soldier without a flag. I'll let my scruples stop me from choosing sides. Stop me from fighting for something bigger. I lived and fought for myself only, for a place to call my homestead. I'm finished with that delusion now. The person I was, the person I am, the things I did, for which there is no forgiveness. There is no frontier I can find without following a crest. No hearth nor chair without graves beneath them. No bed unmarked with the stains of the conquered and the unclean. An eagle circles above, a mouse caught in its talons. I see that more clearly now. At least for now, I have something to concentrate on. Something to care about. As I begin to focus, I look around the forest. There's no sign of the girl. Mai! I call her name. Mai, where are you? Cupping my hands into my mouth, I shout into the tree line. Get your bony ass over here! A few moments pass, but there's no sign of the girl. Damn it! Slinging my musket over one shoulder, I leave Jackson's corpse to rot and head into the undergrowth. Mai, come out here right now! Looking up into the canopy, I watch for any movement. The branches have chunks blown out of them, and the trunks are dented by shot. Pieces of bark lie scattered on the forest floor. Jackson really shot the treetops to pieces. "My!" I call out again. "Aubrey!" Oh no, did she actually get injured? From nearby, I hear a delicate voice murmuring, "My!" I come to a halt in an open area. Broken branches lay splintered all around. The foliage has been trampled and disturbed. In the surrounding trees, wide bullet holes leave their mark. My eyes are drawn towards a patch of mud in the center of the clearing. A figure lies sprawled and there's blood splattering in the dirt. Of course, she got injured. That was unavoidable. Figured as much. Of course, it had to happen. Then I see her. No. Maya lies bleeding on the ground. "He chased me through the forest." Climbing trees to distract his attention. Why'd you do something so stupid? If she hadn't run off like that, if she had run for cover... "I'm sorry." "You stupid child." Stupid. "I'm sorry." I'm the one that's stupid. If I hadn't let her run off like that, if we'd kept running on to the edges of the forest. What are you apologizing for in that state? It's because I'm reprimanding her. My smiles as weak tears form in the corners of her eyes. "Sorry." I crouch down beside her body to check her condition. Stay still. Her ankles are broken, twisted out of place. Judging by the canopy above, she must have fallen from the very top. A gunshot wound to the side, broken legs, probably a broken spine too. "Aubrey." She's losing a lot of blood. The pool of crimson continues to spill across the ground, becoming darker as it sinks into the ground. I hate you, I hate this. We have a nice, yeah. Bye-bye. Becoming dark as it sinks into the dirt. Try not to talk. A cold breeze blows in from across the lake as the sky grows dark. Wildlife in the surrounding forests make plenty of noises as the evening sets in. But I ignore all of that. There's nothing in front of me but Mai.
"What happened to that American?"
I took care of him.
"Are you hurt?"
Asking about me in that state. I'm fine. I'm just fine. Worry about yourself for now. You don't have the time to worry about me.
"I tried to distract him."
I know.
"I'm sorry."
Don't be.
"Aubrey."
She's beginning to struggle with her words. Her body is giving up the fight.
"I found him at the edge of the forest. The blue coat saw me and grabbed me. I managed to get away. That's how he found you."
I see. While she was crying to herself, Jackson found her and chased her. It's all because he was looking for her, tracking me. This is all my fault. If I'd taken care of Jackson long ago, if I'd never taken up such a petty life...
"There are others."
Others? What others?
"Americans. They were with the blue coat. At the edge of the forest. They all had guns."
In which case his friends will have heard the gunshots. They'll be arriving soon to finish the job.
"Aubrey."
With panic in her voice, Mai tries to lift her head, but she can barely do that anymore.
"Aubrey."
Desperately trying to jerk her head, she moves about in the dirt, her eyes darting around.
Where have you...
Mai?
I can't see you anywhere."
Her vision must be fading. I'm right here, Mai. Reaching out, I take her hand in mine and gently squeeze her palm.
"Ah, there you are."
I'm here.
"You vanished for a moment, in the blur."
I should have left her in that barn. We should have parted ways there. Maybe then this scene wouldn't have come to pass. I'm... here. Her skin is cold and dampened by mud. The light muscle is bruised and swollen, scarred from her fall. Maya grips my hand in return, but her strength is fading.
"Aubrey,
What is it?
can I make a request?"
A request?
"The Mishami."
She tries to indicate, but her arms barely move. Your sacred bundle?
You remembered.
The one I tried to steal in the barn.
Please, take it.
What do you want me to do with it?
Keep it safe. And find my family.
Her family? I wouldn't know where to begin. There are tribes and pilgrims migrating all over this continent. There's no way to find one particular family in this mess.
They will want to know where it is. What happened to me.
I don't accept her request. I say nothing. Instead, I just hold her hand in silence.
Hey, Aubrey.
What is it?
Do you believe in an afterlife?
We already talked about this. As even ever, she simply stares at me, waiting for a real answer. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. Ma looks at me with a gentle gaze.
Christians talk of a heaven. There was a priest at the camp.
When you were a prisoner? She nods.
He spoke of a place of light and love, where you can see your family and friends again.
Please, let's not talk about this anymore. It's been too long since I saw the use in praying for heaven.
We too have a place to go to. We too have a spirit to guide us. We pray and dance and feel the wind in our hair. We Shawnee become one with the sky. We are no different.
Barbaric, native, satanic. That's how they are. Strange people that live in the trees. That's what we were told growing up.
So why are we so unclean to them? Why do they say that I will go to hell? Why are we the ones to burn in flames? The ones to leave our lands and die like dogs? I can feel love. I love too. I have a father and a mother and a sister. So why? Why our people? Why us?
I don't know. Whether there is an afterlife, whether there is forgiveness for criminals and soldiers, whether there is hope for pagans and slaves. I don't know any of that. There must be something. There must be. But in my heart, I can't imagine there is.
I don't want to die alone. I don't want to be separate. The sky, your heaven, should be for everyone. There should be.
The panic in her voice becomes worse as she continues.
There should be.
My,
please, gods, God, Ushimaneto, Great Spirit, whoever is listening, I don't want to be alone anymore. I don't want to be separate. I don't want to be unclean to you.
I know, these prayers won't be answered. I fought long enough to know. It happens to all of us. It's inevitable to rot and fade away. But this half-hearted, imagined reprimanding is meaningless. All I can do is watch her die like a dog, bleeding into the dirt. Lightly, I grip her hand. You're not alone. I'm here. There isn't much time left for you. So please, don't look at me with such a lonely expression. Please don't ask for something so selfish. Slowly the girl tilts her head and looks even deeper into my eyes. Even though she can't see a thing, she stares at me intensely.
Aubrey. Nya, nije, ni, nu. Thank you, brother.
With those cryptic words completely lost on me, my smiles nonetheless. As though she had committed one last prank, teased me one last time with her words. My. Slowly the light in her eyes flickers and fades, before dissipating into darkness. Those bright pools fog over and empty. The tears in her cheeks roll down and to the earth, splattering in the dirt. The breath leaves her body in one final motion as her head drops backward. My. Holding her hand still, the little Shawnee girl rests at peace. Dead. Her living moments were a good, god-awful struggle, but there's no hint of pain or fear in her expression. An acceptance washes over her face in the last seconds of her short life. I never even told her about myself, about the battles, and she still trusted me all this time. I don't cry. I don't scream. I don't pound my fists on the ground. I had that kicked out of me long ago. Kneeling there in the mud of the abandoned forest, I look on in silence. The girl's body doesn't move. The hair is blown about by a slight breeze, but that's it. How long I spent staring at her corpse, I don't know. Perhaps in a small way, I want to grant her wish. The thing she was most frightened of was being all alone in this world. Many nights in captivity, away from her family, she would have sat up in the darkness, guarding that rolled up blanket full of Indian dreams and crying for her lost friends. Lying beside her in the dirt, the mishami stained with her blood. It's a hellish thing not to cry. Eventually, I find the strength to pack up and leave this forsaken place. With nothing but empty countryside for miles around, I wander in no real direction. Soon nightfall comes and goes, but I choose to keep walking. As I amble through the light of dawn, I can hear the march of bluecoats nearby. Jackson's friends, no doubt. Redcoats, bluecoats, Indians. Before this war is done, how many more will die? I pray I won't be among them. I wrap myself up in my coat as the cold of a new day sets in. There are no signs of rain at the horizon, no storms ahead. Under my arms, I carry Mai's Indian bundle. Without thinking, I simply picked it up. Her family, her tribe. Perhaps there's some chance they can be found. It might be a foolish quest, a child's fantasy. After all, she was from a different world. She was a silly girl. And I'm a fool for involving myself in her innocent dreams. Looking to the sky, I wonder at the stars beyond and the swirling heavens. That peaceful place she had and I once hoped for. I haven't seen the use in believing. It was something I couldn't pray for. But now, I can do little else but wish for it. Where can I go to meet her once more? What can I do to find that peace she found in her last breath? The winding path through the woodland begins to flatten as I move southward. Slowly, I disappear deeper into the forest as the sounds of marching fade into the distance. Please wait for me. Wait for me, Mai. In that peaceful place we all hope for. Over the hills and far away. What Girl Games. Created by Desert Fox. Written by Desert Fox. Editing, Desert Fox. Programming, Desert Fox. Additional art, Desert Fox.
Under the sky, your subtle smile felt alive, gave me warmth. I was lost, but time and time again you lifted me off the ground and up to my heart. Pain lies among the deepest places. Please rest well. Please dream well in peace.
And that was over the hills and far away. What can I say? It ended in a way that felt in the unfortunately realistic way. It was very good though. That was well, that got me. That got to me. But, yeah, nothing else to say there. Wonderfully sad credits music as well, to punctuate the whole scenario. But as all things, everything comes to a conclusion. We can't wallow on it forever, of course. So, I have nothing to add myself. Well, it's simply time to wrap these things up, conclude them, and eventually simply move on to what else is there to conclude for today. And we shall do that by properly concluding for today, disappearing. Everything goes away. I go away. The screen goes away. We enter the simple void. And as I say goodbye, I shall leave you with a little short story. A very short story, in the order that these have been written. In the unrelated, but sometimes tonally related way of something I call the Reign of Dio. Act 2, Black Sabbath, Volume 4, Heaven and Hell. Chapter 30, Walk Away. Moonlit songs light up forgotten passions, when all I can see now is her, burrowing into discarded emotions. A cage begins to form around it all. She's danger, the warmest fire, my wildest dreams. Giving myself fully will be eternal bliss, entranced in a graceful dance to the tune of her command. I close my eyes, yet her form burns brighter still. All of me yearns to give in, were it so easy. I open my eyes. The world holds all that I do have. I'm sorry, my desires. I now walk away, back to reality. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.